A freak Karen Read. It's discombobulating, blurred lines and truth revealed, darkness congregating, mobster lawyer chilling to the bone. What on earth would you not do to bring fiasco home? The fixes in bad, actors in the light. Some things we just know, even when the strong ain't right. The fixes in not worry about a thing. Good prevails, so let me hear you sing. But none of it bears relevance. Parsing out the parlance, 47 down to 10. What's done is done, and here we are again. Some things we just know, even when the strong ain't right. The fixes in, not worry about a thing. Good prevails, so let me hear you sing. So have faith, justice will prevail. Can you feel it? The thinning of the veil. Black, white, day, night, the Commonwealth derails. Sit down, motherfucker. Sit down, weasel demon. Hush now, talking cheap. The universe sees what you're doing around the world, sending love and light to Karen Read and John O'Keefe. Our outrage fuels the fight. The fixes in bad, actors in the light. Some things we just know, even when the strong ain't right. The fixes in, not worry about it, not a thing. Good prevails, so just let me hear you sing. It's disgusting, it's exhausting, but if she can't do it, so can we. We ain't got no quit, justice prevails. Free Karen Read.
Oh, back to smoking ruins, the crater of her life. Free Karen Read. Where is the justice? Karen must be free. Multiplicity of mendacity, oh, a maelstrom of evil. The time is nigh,
Hey, Shorties. Oh my God. Hi. 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 Free Karen Read, new song. Who dis? Hi, dogs. You know the drill. Yikes. So many pigs here. One for you, big boy. Buster. Poppy around this side. Hi. Good morning or good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, Nicholas Ticholas. Don't stress. This might take. Oh, fuck. Sheesh. What? Wait, it's gone. It's gone. This might take a bit longer as you've expected, but this ends on Tuesday. Not guilty. I like it. I like it. Free Karen Read. Hi, Simmy. Therapist, hi. Ms. Motion to Scream what the fuck granted. I hope you're feeling all right. Poor thing. COVID. Yuck. Sorry about the crunching. Better than panting. Colors. Hi. Sherry Berry. Hi. Did I say hi, Princey? Teresa. Hi. Laura. I saw Laura. Steph. Hi, Steph. Oh my goodness. Let me go. Let me scroll the other way. Wait. I'm the worst. Sorry, it's my first day. Hi, Janine. Thank you. I not me singing. Full disclaimer. If anyone thinks it's my lyrics, my inspiration, but AI music. I had a challenge to write a Gregorian chant, a Free Karen Read Gregorian chant. Kurt from Uncivil Law thought that might be hilarious. I did do a few iterations of those lyrics and some as a Gregorian chant. It was a bit depressing, and I know maybe that style of music sort of very gospely. This style of music is not everybody's cup of tea. However, I mean, write your own music. Go for it. Hi, Colors. Wait. Oh, hi, Colors. Micah's lurking. Hi, Micah. Micah lurk. Smarter Hari. Yes. Great to spend Verdict Watch weekend with you and our delightful mods. Absolutely. Best mods. Micah's driving. Stay safe, Micah. You know what we haven't done? Well, maybe Motion to Scream what the fuck granted has. We haven't compiled the many hilarious, because Smarter Hari, your comment reminds me. Guys, they're crunching so loud. Sorry about that. The many hilarious entries for the Caption This competition. Hang on. Let me see. Oh, I'll pull it up in a minute. Ooh, that's what she said. But top three will be walk and talk chat, right? Top three will be selected. Top three entries will be selected by the mod squad, and then we'll put it to y'all to vote. Maybe I'll grab it out of the. It's basically Hank Brennan doing Hank shit and a thought bubble. So Caption This. It's on my community post if you'd like to enter. Right. So, hi Queen Ruthann official. Good to see you. I really liked it. Refreshing. Well, thank you. I had a lot more lyrics in it. I took them all out. Not necessary. Extraneous. FBI is still watching, Mark. Yes, but more importantly, God is watching. God, the universe. Absolutely. Free Karen Read. I really hope and I want to have faith that the jury is a clean, full complement of 12 untampered with jurors. Because that, honestly, in my opinion, there's no way that anybody other than someone who's been in somebody else's back pocket with cha-ching money, there's no way anybody, sorry, the dogs, there's no way anybody could watch that trial and there was no collision, period, full stop. So that. I see Dave T from Boston's here. So if you missed last night, hi Dave, if you missed last night, we did a recap. Well, we watched both closing arguments of Hank Brennan first at like 1.5, 1.7 x speed because, and then we watched Mr. Alan Jackson Esquire do his phenomenal thing. So if you want to watch it, there you can. It was first react for me on Brennan. Hadn't seen it. I fell back asleep. And then I hadn't seen all of Alan Jackson's, also fell back asleep. So who have common sense and understand reasonable doubt, right? I mean, it couldn't have been more perfectly, simply, and matter-of-factly laid out for those jurors that there was no collision. So the rest is a moot point, really. Hi, Candy. Good to see you. Colours isn't getting her hopes up again. You know what? That's a bit of a quandary, isn't it, Colours? Because in life, not just in the Karen Read trial, right? But how do you maintain a level of positivity, optimism in life in general, particularly when you've been disappointed? And that, obviously, this is more than disappointing for Karen. I mean, it's been quite the... I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what a force of nature. I have so much respect for that woman. So it's striking a balance, because I'm a firm believer of energy in the universe goes where you send it. So and manifesting, man, like I know it's for some of you might be like, what? Manifest that bullshit. It's bullshit. It's not bullshit. Like, energy goes where you direct it, and manifestation is real. I've whatever, believe, hope, faith, believe. So I'm weighing up, not getting my hopes too high, but firmly having faith that the universe, that good and justice will prevail. 227, the angel number of 227 is quite phenomenal. If you're not familiar, and if you're interested, Google the angel number meaning for 227. It's pretty fucking powerful. No one is tampering this jury. There's too much publicity in this case now. Thank you, Nick. Voice of fucking reason. Voice of reason. Nick is possibly the most staunch positivist. He believes, man. Find me somebody who believes in injustice like Nick believes in this process.
And good for them. I'm happy.
It's shameful. It's shameful. We are after the truth in this courtroom. You're entitled to it.
What have I done? Put my earbuds in the middle of something, and now it's a conundrum. Wait. Boom. What did I just do? Uncivil Law is in the chat. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Sending energy this way. Remember, the jury does not know what we know, right? Exactly. So how do we set that aside? Actually, just one earbud. How do we set that aside? What we know? Well, it's very hard. It's impossible. Like, it's impossible. You can't unring that bell. We know what we know, and we believe what we believe. But I think if you take it on its face, the ostensible and very thorough case put on by the defense and the cross-examination also by the defense of the Commonwealth's witnesses, it's irrefutable, man. Seriously. Like, wow. Mark, my birthday is 2/27. Ooh, I love that. I have the number 27 tattooed on me. It's a very powerful number. Truly. It's a name. Google it. Google. Yes, the panel. Wasn't that fantastic? Wow. Super panel. Kelly May, hi. Right, before we go too further, let's do some housekeeping. Firstly, yes, Simi, thank you. Well, Simi put that there, but in my chat, feel free to rock out with your caps out. I don't mind at all. I don't like it if you actually are yelling at me. Sometimes Colours and Pritzy both yell at me in all caps, and that's fine. But if you're feeling enthusiastic or enthusiastic or passionate about something, even angry, go for it. All caps. Just make sure you turn your all caps off when you leave this chat, because yikes. Most creators don't like it, but it doesn't bother me. I'm a huge fan of the all caps myself. So I guess I just mean last time we all thought it would come back immediately. Yes, but this is a new trial. Who dis? It couldn't, like, chef's kiss. Karen Read's defense team. Chef's kiss. And also, let's not beat around the bush here. The foreperson, in my opinion, was being paid. He definitely had a vested interest. He definitely got in there, not telling the attorneys, at the very minimum, that foreperson from the first trial managed to get in without explaining that he had been the victim of a vehicle pedestrian strike. Sus. Former law enforcement, get the fuck out of here. Also, Fanning, come on now. It's a new trial. Who dis? Thank you, Ms. What the Fuck. Replay crew, hi. Thank you for joining on the replay. Come and join our chat sometime. It's pretty fun around here. Little chat. I see all your comments. Beautiful, friendly, warm community. My mods are the best mods on YouTube. I'll die on that hill. But if you would like to, if you're doing the replay and you'd like to view the live chat on your handheld device, like your mobile phone, your tablet, whatever, it's possible. Just swipe left on the comments tab and it will give you the option there. There's a couple of little dots up the top of the comments tab. It'll give you the option to watch the live chat replay instead. Woo! And comment, obviously. Why can't we have both? So. 1957, old man, lol. I mean, you're older than me, but I'm almost 50, so it's all relative. You're an esteemed gentleman, Mark. Let's say that, with a very powerful birthday number. He knew to sit in chair 1. Something is up with that, colours. However, I feel like my brain is remembering that in the, Nick, you'll remember, in the Turk trial, the Ingot Turk trial, wasn't the foreperson chosen before they selected the alternates? I have a bigger fucking problem in this trial with the fact that, I'm sorry, can we hear, there should have been 17 balls in that barrel, right? From Jim. Put your dick away, Jim. There should have been 17 balls in that barrel, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is logical to pull out all 12 seated jurors' numbers and the remaining numbers are the alternates, because that's fair. Like, sorry, you guys didn't get chosen. Pulling out 5 numbers of what sounded like a very sparsely filled barrel, nah, that's sus. That ain't it for me. Shorty, what, if anything, have you heard about Lally having a relationship with Forever Son of Trial 1? Wait, who's Forever Son? Is that a typo? And I haven't heard anything. Tell us. I don't know. I know nothing. I know nothing. Nothing. Foreperson. Okay. Okay, I do. Well, that's in that affidavit that was anonymously submitted. The Betero stuff in furtherance of Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy's trials. Also, free Turtle Boy. Congratulations, sir, on your acquittal this week. Bravo, as it should be. Oh, you don't mean like a loving relationship. You just mean like some sort of familiarity. Right. Okay. So I mean, it's hearsay within hearsay within hearsay, isn't it? That document says that KP, Krusty Panties, Kate Peter, told this affiant, the anonymous affiant, that is that the right word? Fuck. Where's my Esquire title when I need it? Yes, affiant. Anyway, the person, the female, putting in that statement, that affidavit, that Kate Peter told her, God, now my brain, that Jen McCabe? No, Kate Peter told her that that Lally had lunch with the foreperson, and that the foreperson of the first trial had guaranteed to Lally a mistrial. It means hearsay within hearsay, and it's coming from K. Peter. That's what I know. Not much, not much. But I know I love you, Smarter Harry. Yes, in MA, the seat one is automatically the foreperson. Exactly. Didn't he swap seats? I thought that too. Factual lie. Hi, by the way. However, and I don't know about the Twitter lawyers, but Twitter tells me, some of Twitter tells me, because I've been tweeting rage tweet, well, a couple, like, we have a fucking problem, because I was under the impression that was the same, but apparently it was a different swapping of jurors. That particular juror has sat in seat number 1 the entire time. So take it as you will. I don't know. Twitter. Fuck, what a place. Hi, Eric. Good to see you. Free Karen Read and justice for Officer John O'Keefe. Amen. So I'm very behind in chat. Let me scroll through. Lord, so much opining. Shorty, love is love. True. I have a song called Love is Love. But it's a bit of a sad sap wham song. I've heard that Laurie Vallow gave a better closing than Brennan. Oh my God, the sycophants, the please, the sycophants on Twitter preaching his esteem, Brennan's esteem. Get the fuck out of here. He bloody pilfered all of so much of Alan. He gave a closing, and we've got a clip of that, I think. Yes. What the fuck? Yes. EDB was like, he basically wrote his closing arguments, his summations, based on the case that the defense presented in the first trial. He basically didn't address, I mean, I think it was very fast when we watched it, and I couldn't really listen because my brain hurts when anything to do with Hank Brennan. But he gave a closing that was designed around the first trial case in chief of the defense. Almost, no, like EDB says, nobody even, I mean, we know she is, but nobody even accused Jennifer McCabe of being a murderer this time. A liar. A vile pain in the ass, but not a murderer. I mean, we know what we know, right? Kurt says, I'm not sure it automatically is seat 1. Well, that's probably something that can be Googled, but not by me. I've heard that, but that's hearsay, Kurt. People say that, but do we just perpetuate things we've heard? That's human nature, isn't it? The anonymous affiant. It's A&T, but it's cool. Sounds like a very posh rapper. Brennan was better in the second half when he started yelling. Ooh, spicy. The first half was hard to follow. I can't. My brain doesn't register Brennan. It's like, does not compute. The way, hi Anna Banana, the way Bev smiled at the foreperson though. He did the look the other way thing. Correct. But seriously, says Nick, wait, what? Oh my God, I can't see anything. God, I need new glasses. Sucks getting old and being tired. I woke up at 1:15. Ugh, a.m. But seriously, if you're in the jury room and not spoken to fellow jurors about the case, you'd want at least 2 days to go through the absurdity of it all. I definitely would. Here's what I think may have happened, and I want to say I'm projecting, but let's just go with it. Maybe they walked in there, took a straw vote. Oof, already going against Bev's strong suggestions. And everyone went, yeah, nah, not guilty, no collision. Boom, ticket, but let's go home and we can't come back with that straight away. I have a feeling maybe they're like, oh. They're like, I have to go home and do some research. Sherry Berry says, I had to take my Apple Watch off, kept screaming at me, heart rate during Spanky's closing. Yeah, and equally, I wasn't breathing when we were watching Alan Jackson last night, and when the part that I hadn't seen, this is the second half, I was actually having to go breathe. It was just like spellbinding. Bev chooses correct. Okay, let me scroll through a bit. One could hope. Amen. I'm tired. You're tired. We're all tired. Everybody's tired. My beautiful community, this Shorty community, we've put our heart and soul into this. And we're not Karen Read. God damn, imagine how tired she is. Motion to Scream What the Fuck Granted says, lol. I saw something on Twitter that said someone had a training on Monday they wanted to miss. I mean, that's just the absurdity of anybody having to deliberate whatsoever. Hey, Tony, good to see you. In the car and can't stay, but figured I'd drop in and smack that like button. Well, thank you so much, sir. Hi, Butterfly. Hi. Hey, I still haven't ordered your t-shirt, but I will do that after this. It's been quite the week. And Akasha, if she's here. Raffle folk. Hey, I'm at the bottom of the chat. This is amazing. Oh, 30 minutes in. Hi. Sorry, the dogs are drinking their water down there. Welcome to the world of professionalism. Speaking of raffle, yes, all super chats, memberships, cash apps, buy me a coffee and PayPal go into a good draw. In here, it's in my Miss Shorty mug, one of. Got so many cool ones. That's my raffle mug before we transfer it into the drawing barrel with all the names, not just the 5. I don't want to. Go into a draw every fortnight. Winner wins Miss Shorty merch announced during this draw. Yes, so you can choose a t-shirt, top, boom. Anna Banana says, if I was on a jury, I would want to rehash it all and then talk about how ridiculous Spanky Brennan is. Yes, yes. Hi. And then Hank Brennan's Binky comes in. Hi. Oof, we weren't talking about you, sir. Just maybe we were. Go to the beginning. Morrissey's statement, take out the Karen part. Morrissey said exactly what happened to John. John was jumped and beaten by Piggins and the Abbots. Well, I mean, yes. You're preaching to the choir here, Eric. Love the puppers. Yes, same. Be hi. They're like, well, we've had our pig's ears. What next? Next is you go and have a snoozle for a few hours. All right. So, thank you, Motion to Scream What the Fuck Granted. Sup. Just sup, Hank. Sup. Thank you, Motion to Scream What the Fuck Granted, who is very unwell, and I am the most horrible content creator ever for cracking the whip and saying, keep making me getting all my links. I didn't say that, but she did do it. Amazing. I've got them all queued up. So Motion to Scream What the Fuck Granted, please take a rest. Hopefully I don't need you any more than I already need you, which is to help me breathe. Hang on. Right. But, however, what have I got first? Fuck, she already can't think. Hang on. Oh, yeah, this. Gosh. Can we do it? Pretty sure I'm a professional. Fuck yes. What? It's on the wrong day. God damn. Not a professional. Not a professional. One day I will be. I swear. I promise. I promise. Slideshow. Look, I am a professional. Work that shit out. And actually, you know what the fuck? I even worked that out without you giving me how to do it. I was like, I got to be able to do this. Hang on. Poppy, please. For the love of God and free Karen Read, leave me alone. Guys, I love you very much. All right. Oh, so we had the motions to wind it back. We're going back to the start of the week. I know. I thought it was over, but here we are. We are fucking professionals here. Hang on, let me just check something. Beautiful. Thank you, Motion to Scream What the Fuck Granted. She says she'll do chat. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So you behave in there in chat, or you won't get your chat on the screen. So, motions hearing. Commonwealth allow for rebuttal witnesses. Commonwealth Laposata testimony. Is it Laposata? Oh my God, the spelling. I think it's Laposata. Anyone? Defense, photos and measurements of 34 Fairview. Okay, let's see what we got. Gosh. Hey, it's been a while. Oh, wait. No, I don't know why that's there. I put something else there. Wait, you can't see this. Walk and talk chat. Pause. Let me check this other thing. Just talk amongst yourselves for a sec. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk about things and stuff. Okay.
It's shameful. It's shameful. We are after the truth in this courtroom. You're entitled to it. Demand it.
Thank you. That's amazing. We are after the truth and some level of professionalism. Jeez.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
Ah, Nicholas Ticholas. Thank you so much, sir. Wait. Nicholas Ticholas says, great KR coverage on all trial, great community. Don't stress yourselves. It's in the bag. Free Karen Read. Boom. Okay, sir. We hold you in the highest esteem. So, what are you doing, dog? What do we got here? 227. Starting on 227. No volume, though.
Very, very strong rulings that Dr. Wolfe as well as Dr. Rentschler are not allowed to speak to the credibility of Dr. Welcher himself. And so some of the information that the Commonwealth proposes.
Pause already. I'm not sure about Liza's fringe. This is coming from someone who cut a very short fringe herself and is still paying the price. Thoughts? Your thoughts, chat? Hi, Vixie, by the way.
Is to directly attack the testimony of Dr. Wolfe and Dr. Rentschler. And under the court's rulings, we're asking that the court limit that scope as well.
Wait.
And I told you I would.
Fuck.
Thank you.
Mr.
That's all, Your Honor.
I went to the wrong
Thank
time.
you, Mr. Brennan, do you want to be heard?
Regarding DNA evidence.
I didn't start from the start, but okay. Sorry, Liza. I looked at the wrong timestamp.
Has a number of potential ideas or areas of testimony. It's not compelled a Commonwealth to try to anticipate or deflect attacks, especially if they're meritless. And so the issue of dogs.
Let me just speed it up a little bit because here's Brennan.
Until the defense calls a so-called dog expert. They raise the issue.
So-called. Get the fuck out of here, Hank. Why is it so quiet?
This is Ms. Hartnett, UC Davis, and Dr. Crosby. If Dr. Laposata is precluded from testifying about dog bites, we would not call Dr. Crosby as a witness. However, regardless of what Dr. Laposata says, we would ask to call Ms. Hartnett and call the witness from UC Davis. It is an issue that
I don't know if I can
affects the
do.
assessment of Dr. Russell, the very expert they chose to call the case in chief, and so we can now, my perspective, properly rebut it. Second issue regarding Dr.
Oh my God. I'm severely traumatized. Let's go to something a little more easy on the eyes, and the brain, and the ears. I am colors. Walk and talk. Hang in there. Give it 30 seconds. We're already there. Oh, no volume. Far out. Why?
I'd like to draw your attention to a picture.
Dr. Wolfe, wait. Hang on. Gosh. Hang on. Woo! I can't let these things go by the wayside. Week 8. So professional. Week 8, day 29. We'll get rid of all the Hank stuff as much as we can. Dr. Daniel Wolfe, Dr. Dimples, Mr. Crash Daddy, Sir Crash Daddy. Woof. Woof. Like literally, woof. Director of Accident Reconstruction of ARCCA. I think it's ARCCA, but that's okay. Sorry, that shouldn't. It. Crash Daddy number 1, aka Dr. Dimples. Big fan. Huge. Huge. That's what she said. Share this tab instead. Okay, Dr. Wolfe. Let's go. Why is it Hank Brennan again? Have I gone to the wrong tab?
Yeah,
No.
I'll show you.
Yes,
Timely
You showed
manner.
this photograph last week, is that right?
correct,
By Mr. Brennan, correct?
correct.
Do you recognize the photo as the same photo that you were shown last week?
Yes,
Under questioning by Mr. Brennan?
yes.
And what does that appear to be a photo of, just generally?
It appears to be a photo from the test dummy from the 29 mile per hour impact test.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate photograph of the condition of the dummy following
sir.
that 29 mile an hour crash test?
Yes,
With the court's permission, I'd like to enter this as next in order, please. You can hand that to the
Destined to be. Hi. Destined to be. Hi.
permission to present that, Your Honor.
Yes.
Is this the photograph?
yes.
Dr. Wolfe, first of all, what caused the damage Well, let's start with the most basic. Which arm is this? Left or right?
This is the left arm.
What position was, you called this, Rescue Randy, is that right?
Correct,
What
yes.
position generally was Rescue Randy in upon impact during this test?
He was oriented such that the right side of his body and his right arm would be contacted by the vehicle.
What caused the defects in the and the damage to the sweatshirt as we see it here?
That was due to the interaction from the Rescue Randy sliding on the pavement surface to his position of final rest.
Is that sometimes called road rash?
Yes.
Did you see any road rash in any other place on Rescue Randy in this photograph?
Doesn't appear so in this photograph, no.
Can we highlight the face? What about there?
Sorry, I thought you were talking specific to the clothing. Yes, the as I mentioned on Friday, there were signs of road rash to the body of the dummy itself, on the face and on the torso and arms.
Can we zoom in on the sleeve a little bit? Do you see the staining on the sleeve as well as the defects, the holes and the tears?
Yes.
What is that staining from?
Again, just from that sliding contact with the pavement. So it's just like the debris and kind of a film from the pavement surface being deposited onto the material.
With regard to John O'Keefe's sweatshirt that you reviewed photographs of, did you see any other defects other than the right arm and the fact that it was cut off of him medically?
No.
Hey, skip. This is what the fuck said skip. Sorry, my brain. This is such a comprehensive thing. JD clip. Gotcha. So I love JD, the lawyer. A lawyer explains. His name's Tony. So let's listen to what he says about Spanky, Mr. Snake. No volume. Why are they all no volume? What have I done here? I don't know. Something.
Mass of his head.
Do you hear the acid dripping from those questions? I mean, it's almost like he has no self-awareness of what that sounds like to the jury. Nobody wants to sit and listen to someone be disagreeable and disrespectful to someone over and over and over again. That's why when I have deposed or when I have cross-examined in real time an expert on the stand, I have not been ugly or snarky. I have asked hard questions, but I have not been ugly to the man personally. And the reason that I don't do that, for one, is because I believe in being kind to people, even if they're lying to you. Even if they're lying to you, there's no excuse whatsoever to be an ugly, nasty person to them.
Amen.
Some
Tony,
people don't always provide, play by that rule. I have a friend who believes when you go into a deposition, the first thing you should do is punch the other guy in the nose, rhetorically speaking. I don't think that way. I think you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. Of course,
that's one of my favorite sayings.
You catch even more flies with feces, and that does seem to be, there does seem to be a lot of that flung around in courtrooms, I have to tell you. But again, what's happening here is he is just trying to wear this guy down. This is the tone of the cross-examination for the next hour, and he just doesn't let up. It's almost impossible to listen to as he goes after this guy for things that most of us realize are.
Pause. I want to address this. Hi, ARCCA. Good to see you. YouTube streamer. Hi, that's me. And many. Something keeps unsubscribing me from your channel. Anyone else have this issue? I've heard that a bit. We did have a mass exodus of folks around the start of the year. Some of that I think was intentional, not intentional, but I think YouTube thought, oh, people are unsubscribing. We'll unsubscribe a few more. So check that you're subscribed and hit that bell. Yikes, doing the YouTubey things. And if you're not already subscribed to JD, A Lawyer Explains, Tony Dewitt, you should. He's delightful. Delightful. I was listening to one of his most recent videos right up until the minute I sat down in this chair. A lot of time for him. Glorious fella. Always in his red shirt. So cute.
Are just theatrics. They don't have any real substance. He tries to get into some substance in this clip.
You have one paper.
Timely, when you said so many lawyers who tried to remain neutral have changed their minds. At the end of, I think one of his Tony's videos from yesterday, he actually said "Free Karen Read," and I just about melted. It was so sweet. the day Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, or Emily D. Baker says free Karen Read will be chef's kiss. But it was so sweet, like such a sweet stand of solidarity. Like that's a big call to make. Hi, Buster.
One study. I know the answer to this, but let me ask. You have one paper, one study to support that it is appropriate to use the 50th percentile 9.38 arm for a person who is 6'1", 216 pounds. I won't ask you again, but if you can answer this once for me. Do you have one paper, one study?
So I'll take out the commentary. Can you answer that question, please?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
You have one paper. Give me a name, an author, one paper, one study that supports using a 9.38 arm, 50th percentile, when you're doing a crash test for somebody who's in the 95th percentile who weighs 216 pounds and is 6'1". One paper, sir.
I don't have a paper because Dr. Rentschler is addressing the forces and the injuries to the arm.
You talked about, however, would you come up with the number 11.8? Like it was
Welcome,
something
new
that
Shorties. You're in the
curious, foreign to you, right?
Many times.
Are you confused
Oh,
how the number 11.8 would come up?
Okay. When
I'm not confused. I don't know your source for it.
When you
Ms. What the fuck? I'm going to go to the EDB clip next. But let me just check. Pause. We know this testimony. Let me go to EDB because she's way more entertaining than just fucking Hank Brennan, right? Right. Let me see. Oh, look, miracle of miracles. It's not muted. Lol.
Something that's under oath, right?
What?
And so when you feigned confusion on Friday about this 11 pounds,
Sustained.
so when you answered questions last Friday about wherever this 11.8 pounds came from,
The changing of the mark is incredibly frustrating because it's if a witness is
that me
being disingenuous, if a witness is playing word games with you, if a witness is doing all of the weaselly nonsense that we have seen some witnesses do, the most effective way to prove that to the jury is to ask simple, short questions. But when you keep moving around the goalpost, the witness isn't the one that looks evasive for me. So if Brennan genuinely thinks that Dr. Wolfe is being evasive, short, simple questions, and you'll see it through the witness action. Not saying, "Oh, you don't like that question?" That you don't need to do that. Your job is to show the jury what the testimony is through your questioning. Again, I think what rubs me so much the wrong way with Brennan's questioning is that he questions very much like a defense attorney in the role of the prosecutor. And so it's a disconnect for me, the way that he cross-examines the witnesses by trying to create confusion instead of saying, well, you did all of this to say that you just picked whatever you wanted to do. That's what he's trying to get at. But also, Brennan went through the questioning saying, so the arm you used was smaller, lighter weight, and all of these other things. Okay, I mean,
they scale it.
Wouldn't that indicate that it might do less damage? Because imagine the questioning on the other side. Oh, you used the heavier arm. It's bigger than John O'Keefe's arm. Isn't that going to do more damage? You wanted this to look worse.
Colors, yes, he is a defense attorney, but also, if you notice, it took Alan Jackson a little bit of a while to find his stride with the way he questioned when he was questioning his own witnesses to ask open-ended yes/no direct examination style questions. But Alan Jackson was a prosecutor and he's now always a defense attorney, and even still for him, the professional, and he knows his shit, right? Hank Brennan, his strategy of things was very defense attorney. Like, ugh. Ugh.
So it's a lose-lose for the witness. But does it seem like a serve saying you used something that is lighter weight and might be smaller in your testing? Because everything we heard from the Commonwealth witnesses is I was trying to give the conservative estimate.
Yeah, Nick, he's a little man, a small little man with a small little personality who's got no charisma, in my opinion. No charisma, no riz. Whereas look at the defense team. So even on a personal level, just as man to man, Hank Brennan is Timu attorney, right? And it shows. He's not as skillful. He's not as smart. He's not as likable. Hands down, not likable at all. And he had a dog of a case. Sorry, Chloe. So,
Okay.
You weren't right. Let's go back to. We're not going to listen to as little Hank as possible, but this last little bit. Oh wait, share this tab instead.
I'm sorry.
Did you consider whether Mr. O'Keefe had fallen or
It's the very end of the cross.
No.
Did you know about or consider the multiple holes on the back of his sweatshirt when you came and formulated your opinions?
No.
You did no studies whatsoever about the damage to the sweatshirt.
100%, Sweeney.
On the
1
ground
quadrillion
and
percent.
had broken taillight shards in his clothing. Did you?
No.
I have no further questions.
Pure duckery. Hank Brennan is disgraceful. Shame on you, sir.
Mr. Brennan, give me one name, very dramatically, of someone.
Objection sustained.
You were asking me one name.
Sit down.
To support using a 50 percentile hybrid 3 in testing forces on a 216-pound man. Do you remember that
Hi,
question?
Anya.
Yes.
How about the name Judson Welcher? How about that name?
So the objection is sustained.
Did Judson Welcher use a 50 percentile hybrid in his drop test?
So that's sustained as to form.
What did Judson Welcher use in his drop test?
A hybrid 3 50th percentile male, the same that we use in our testing.
You were also asked whether or not using that hybrid 3 arm with the same speed would have an effect on the force equation, on the force calculation, correct?
Correct.
And you agreed it might have a small effect on the force calculation, correct?
So sustained as to form.
This is just foundational, Your Honor.
Sustained as to form.
How did you answer that question?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. Let me ask it this way. In the 29-mile-an-hour test with the hybrid 3 arm, were you going faster than 24 miles an hour?
Yes.
And what was the calculation again on the increased force that would be exerted on the taillight, on the arm, or the taillight? 14%?
Yes.
So sustained.
How much? What was the percentage that you calculated? The increase?
14%.
And did you find damage, even with the increase of 14%? Did you find damage on that exemplar taillight consistent with the extensive damage on the subject SUV?
No.
Can we have 201D put up one more time? Mr. Brennan just asked you if you made note of these little red pieces, correct?
Correct.
Do you have any idea the size of those pieces? As you sit here.
Not without a scale of some sort, no.
So as you sit here, do you have any idea what the size of those pieces are?
I couldn't tell you as I sit here today, no.
No idea if they're a foot long?
So the objection is sustained.
Bev.
You were
On
asked-
top of the
you were
snow.
shown this
On
picture,
top of the
if you accounted
snow.
for this in
Wait.
terms of-
Just to recap. On top of the snow. On top of the snow. Okay. Okay. Please, dear God. Jury, we believe in you. Jury too. On top of the snow. Yes, Buster. You're not on top of the snow. You're on top of me.
No idea if they're a foot long?
So the objection system.
Too much love.
You were asked when shown this picture if you accounted for this in terms of
God, you too.
damage to the garment, the sweatshirt, right?
Amen. Say, Mark.
What if I told you those were
Objection.
So the objection's sustained. He
Oh.
said he doesn't know the sources. That's the end of it.
I realize
Okay.
he said he doesn't know. He was asked
A
questions.
microscope held over the snow, right? Lol. Fuck. Okay. Fuck.
Get the-
It was.
the picture of the tin.
Do
you see that tin?
There's
Yes.
Princey yelling at me.
Are you aware that all those pieces are inside that tin?
I'm human.
Jurors disregard that.
I only
Did you
ever
ever see this
listed.
tin in your analysis?
I do recall seeing, yes, in the evidence photographs of all of the fragments, yes.
In your experience, are very large pieces or very small pieces put in little tins that are 2 inches wide?
Sustained.
You were asked a question about the arm being pushed by the taillight. That's a bunch of questions about that, right?
Correct.
You indicated, what did you say in terms of the contact by the vehicle? Pushing on?
It's going to move with the vehicle until it separates.
In your testing, how long did it take?
Pause. I had a thought the other day. I think after Dr. Rentschler, I'm like, they were so composed. I mean, Rentschler, we'll get to it obviously, but they were both so composed with Hank's bullshit, right? Do you think they walked out of there, got in their car or got back to their hotel room or whatever it was and just were like, motherfucker! Like what? What is wrong with Hank Brennan? Do you think they had a migraine? Do you think they had some like a stiff drink afterwards? Like, yes. It just dawned on me. I could suddenly go. I was thinking to myself, these poor bastards. These poor, all of the witnesses, like just going, what did I just sit through? Like the gaslighting, the brain scrambling, crazy making shit. Oh my God. Went to the gym and punched things. I don't know, like screamed, put on their favorite, like we should send sidebar to the ARCCA boys, men. Our song sidebar. Say here, scream this to the top of your lungs. Lordy Dordy. Lordy Dordy.
The hybrid rearm to get up to speed of the vehicle in the 24-mile-an-hour test.
About 10 milliseconds.
I'm sorry, say that again.
10 milliseconds.
10 milliseconds, correct?
Correct.
So when you say the arm is being pushed, it's being hit, right?
The objection sustained and it's
Thrust, even.
In every one of your tests, every single one of your tests, did any taillight fragment tear a hole in the sleeve of the skirt that you were testing?
No, there was no holes, punctures, fraying, nothing to the material.
Was there ever a defect in that garment in any of that testing other than the road rash that you saw in the 29-mile-an-hour direct impact?
That the only test that showed the holes and the abrasions was that full-on hit where the body was sliding on the ground. There was no test where the taillight caused any type of punctures, holes, or fraying to the material.
And in that test, what happened to the back of the license?
Razor, Mr. Unbronzed. Hi, sir. Good to see you. Cane toad. All right, brace yourself. Brace yourself. We can do this because it's worth it.
On We Redirect, you again talked about the impact between an arm and the broken taillight.
Correct, yes.
And I asked you on cross-examination or re-cross-examination whether that broken taillight could push the arm, which of course would create force or friction, yes?
Well, once it's moving at a common velocity, I'm just not understanding your question then.
If it's not a common velocity, if the broken taillight is if the broken taillight is pushing the arm, which would mean the broken taillight is going at a faster speed than the arm, if it pushes the arm, the broken taillight can come in contact with the arm, can it?
It's moving with the arm, sir.
If. Okay, it pushes the arm. The broken taillight can come in contact with the arm, can it?
It's moving with the arm, sir.
If.
Bravo. 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 Let me just keep playing. I'll just double check.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Let
Do
me
you agree with this?
a running
If
sheet.
you have an arm
Give
that's
Ms.
actually
Motion
struck
to
at
screen
25 miles per hour, you're going to have significantly greater damage, especially if there's a tail light
think
that
you know-
shatters. So if you have the tail light coming in, it's hitting the arm.
Pause. Pause. Hi. Let me find the next one without having to. Oh, wait, I suppose you could have looked at Dr. Wolfe. Probably not that traumatizing, but Hank. No. That's EDB. We've done that. Okay. Let me just check this running sheet to make sure I got my tabs. Okay. So, no collision. Done. Tick. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. However, where was I? I'm just going to go, wait, I think it's not. Walk and talk chat. We'll go back to the start of that video. I don't know why it's not, because me. Hey, if you didn't see the panel that ended up, the streaming orgy, so to speak, with Melanie Little, Defense Diaries, Bob and Ali, Uncivil Law Kurt, Runkle, an attorney called Tom something. He was lovely. They're all lovely, but he was a breath of fresh air and a half. Was there anyone else? Oh, and Ed from Judy Ron. Go back and watch it. So good. Okay. Killer Alessi got his gloves on. Fuck yeah. Bettero. Yeah, Bettero. Thank you. Thank you. God, sir. Apologies. That's what reminded me, because our next clip is a clip of Bob and Ali and Bettero. Yikes. Yikes. Bettero bowed out a bit early. Thank you. Yes, Bettero, of course. Oh, no volume. I love that for us.
And for the jury. And what I'd like to do, Your Honor, this regards the hoodie. In this regards, questioning and representations and questioning by Mr. Brennan.
Thank you.
And what I'd like to and need to do, Your Honor, is to have 2 documents marked as exhibits, and then I am going to use exhibit 88, which is an evidence, which is the hoodie, which is why I'm putting on the evidence gloves.
Pause. If you're not familiar, hang on. Oi. Gotta use this. God, I'm not used to running this myself. What the fuck? Week 8, of course, final week of testimony. Day 29, Karen Read Retrial. Motion to dismiss with prejudice. That means, with prejudice means no further, nothing, it can't be brought before the court again. Done. Dunskies. So that. Back to this. I should have done that already. Apologies. It's my first day.
And it will become quite obvious very shortly what the issues are.
All right, so what are the things that you want to have marked?
What I would like to have marked.
I'm going to speed it up a little. Not much.
What I would like to have marked, the first document, in the specific title. These 2 documents are from the criminalist file, specifically Ms. Maureen Hartnett's notes regarding cuttings from the hoodie sweatshirt that's in the crime lab file folder.
Okay.
So the first is the back of the hoodie. So with Your Honor's permission, I would have that marked for identification.
Okay.
That is the back of the hoodie, Your Honor. And if I could please have the next mark in order exhibit for identification.
Thank you. I've been spoiled with Ms. What the Fuck generally running this stuff for me, but I can do it. I've done it for a year now, almost.
This, Mr. Leslie. So is it that there are no holes in the back? There were no
No
holes
shit,
in the back of the
yeah, that's
sweatshirt?
it.
That's only part of it, but that is in fact the case, Your Honor.
Okay. I can't tell entirely from ZZZ, but if that's your argument, why?
Why?
Identification.
Why are we
Appears to
here?
support that.
God damn.
Your Honor, may I have the exhibits marked for identification back from my argument?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure.
Taking that in court.
Oh, shunned one. What's with the gloves? Well, he's about to kill Hank Brennan.
Your Honor, what we just saw is Attorney Brennan question Dr. Wolfe with regard to the hoodie sweatshirt that heretofore has been in the plastic casing for trial. And this is the, what happened was Attorney Brennan held up the casing with a hoodie sweatshirt, went to the back of the hoodie sweatshirt. First point to note, Mr. Brennan did not show Mr. Jackson the back of the hoodie sweatshirt, didn't give Mr. Jackson an opportunity to look at it.
Can I just ask a question? I noticed that it was over here at the witness stand this morning, so I assumed everyone was aware that something was going to happen with it. Is that not the case, Mr. Jackson? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hi, JB. Good to see
ahead,
you,
Mr.
darling.
Thank you, Your Honor. So to do it in order, Mr.
Pause. Thank you for the coffees, Annie. Thank you so much. I'll write your... Yes, Salty Sleuth. Salty Sleuth. We got you there. Hashtag free Karen Read. Fuck yes. Hi, girl. Good to see you. Hopefully by next Saturday. God damn, if we don't have a verdict next Saturday, there's a problem. We'll talk to Miss Salty next Saturday to talk about her evolution from relatively uninformed, intentionally uninformed 13th juror to this case. And we've spoken to Salty Sleuth Investigates every fortnight after week 1, week 3, week 5, week 7. Can't wait to hear. She started off being, so exciting. Hopefully we're talking, you know what? We will be talking about the acquittal. Full not guilty. Yes. Yes. So thank you for the coffees, and you're in the draw, Annie. Thank you so much. Carry on, Mr. Alessi, sir.
Mr. Brennan
Murderer.
takes the hoodie sweatshirt in the casing without notice, shows it to Dr. Wolfe, and shows the back of the hoodie, which has certain
and a banana.
holes.
There it
and I'm
is.
going to limit
Wait,
calling them
I'll
holes
write
and do
your
this chronologically.
YouTube
I'm going to refer to exactly what they are in moments.
Okay, so I need to see it. I know you've got gloves on. Where is it right now?
We can see the gloves. I love that they're
Would it
black.
help me if you held it up for me now,
Absolutely.
Mr.
Mom.
Alessi?
This is why he's got the gloves
So-
on, Shandwan.
Here is the back of the hoodie.
All right, thank you.
It's very obvious that these are cutting holes.
Hi, Carrie. Did I say hi
by the
timely?
criminalist,
Thanks, everyone, for being here.
and I'm going to
Free
get
Karen Read.
back to this in a moment. But I would like to do it and certainly entertain any of your questions, but in a logical order.
Sure, so I'm not...
Sure. Sure.
What about the jurors and lunch? How long do you think this would be?
I think this will
Fuck
take
off,
about 10 to
Bev.
15 minutes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Alessi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Trial channel,
So I
editing
just
out.
want to get the flow back going here in the logic. So, and I'll do it quickly. So Mr. Brennan grabs the hoodie sweatshirt inside the casing, doesn't show it to Attorney Jackson, goes up. We have no idea that this was going to happen. Goes up, confronts the witness, Dr. Wolfe, shows the back of the hoodie sweatshirt. To my knowledge, the first time the back has been referenced of the hoodie sweatshirt. Shows Dr. Wolfe, confronts him, and basically says, couldn't these holes
Subscribe if
be
you're not
caused,
already.
and I'm paraphrasing, from a fall backwards? Obviously positing in the juror's mind after, remember, we just saw all kinds of videos with regard to Rescue Randy and impact at 24, 29 miles an hour, more aptly 29 miles per hour.
Sorry, Mr. Alessi. Rescue Randy, a.k.a. Hank Brennan's sex doll. I swear to God, he loves Randy so much. Randy's not a dummy.
And damage to the hoodie, etc. So what then happens is Dr. Wolfe is asked a series of questions, very much with the indication that somehow, in the clear implication, that these holes are being caused by road rash, and that the holes in the back of the hoodie sweatshirt, Exhibit 88, could have been or likely were caused with regard to some type of impact. Clearly presented to the jurors with that in mind in that questioning. Here is the basis for the mistrial with prejudice. Those holes in the back of the hoodie sweatshirt are clearly, unequivocally, without doubt, cause nothing to do with any type of event on or about January 29th, 2022.
So do you have something you said when you said obviously cut by the criminalist? Do you have something that shows that chart that I couldn't understand quickly? Is it on that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
What we have is two documents to show
shit.
that.
Right. So the second one, when was that provided?
These, when you say provided, you mean with regard to when did the defense get these in a discovery? Let me get the date, Your Honor.
Sure.
Notice of discovery, May 2023.
Okay.
Right,
And
Salty?
I will
Wild.
note, exhibit YYY. The only, I believe, I'm holding up YYY, which is the back of the hoodie. I believe is the only one, to my knowledge, not put into evidence, not turned into evidence. This is the one that it clearly shows the hoodie before the criminalist started her work with the cuts. There are no cuts to YYY, and if we need to, we'll bring Ms. Hartnett in to confirm.
All right. So is ZZZ in evidence?
ZZZ is not in evidence, and that is part of the basis for the mistrial. It is no coincidence that these two documents are not in evidence, because if they were in evidence, they would clearly have prevented the stunt that we just saw occur with regard to Dr. Wolfe. So that is part of the intentional misconduct, Your Honor, is these are documents from the criminalist's file. It's the Commonwealth's documents. And it is very clear when you go to exhibit ZZZ, the cuts that the criminalist made to the back of the hoodie are specified.
So where on that? Because when I quickly looked at it, I didn't see it. What does it say?
He projects his voice.
It's item number 7. I'll read it from the top, LIMS.
Does she even pay attention? Butterfly, there was one time, I think maybe when they were when Yanetti was asking for whatever it's called, judicial mistrial, whatever it was, when, you know, in the morning on the final day before the charging conference, farce. She was actually listening, because Yanetti said he was saying Brian Higgins, and then he accidentally said Brian Albert, and it was clearly he meant to say Higgins, and Bev said, "Don't you mean Brian Higgins?" And so she is sometimes listening. Directed verdict. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily the directed verdict, but I think it's called something else. Yeah, it was something. But yes, so she sometimes listens. Mistrial with prejudice. Thank you, Grazer. That's the one. Something. Anyway, we'll see.
22-2184, analyst MSH, which is the initials for Ms. Hartnett. Dates: May 11, 2022, May 12, 2023, and then May 18, 2023. And what she does is she's got the...
You know what? Can you bring it up to me, please?
I certainly can, Your Honor.
He's so sweet. I love him so much. Big Alessi energy. I love him. I love them all, but I've got a special place in my heart.
And then you can see the various...
What could be more egregious? What? He's so polite. He's a gentleman. He's an old school gentleman. Betterow likes to say that. Facts, Simi. Facts. Fuck off, Brennan. Get away from Alessi. Ooh. Brennan germs.
I want to clarify this. Yes, I do. Well, just one. Let me just make sure I get it.
Mr. Betterow. Yes.
Mr. Jackson, it says exterior front, what Mr. Alessi was pointing
Full
to.
respect. Pause. Actually, pause. Wait, where is it? Back in the first trial, I typed just Betterow so much because I used to be a moderator for the Young Jerks, and obviously Mr. Betterow, Mark Betterow, was on the Young Jerks every damn night. Now he's just whoring himself around all the channels as it should be. Spread the love, mate. But I typed Betterow so many times in all caps, no surprise there, that my phone struggles so hard to type just capital B EDAROW. It wants to do it in all caps. It's in the predictive text. Still a year later.
I can do Mr. Wolfe, you print the back, and Your Honor, are you comfortable using the computer at the back? Because I think we just had the wrong one.
We need to mark it though.
I understood. He's printing it right now.
Okay, Biff.
But 2 minutes because Mark will be the front of the hoodie. The purpose of the complete true story about these holes in the hoodie that were presented as if they were caused in some manner by something else other than the
So
criminal.
that seems perfectly
Bukaki
reasonable and
even.
I'd be inclined to do that.
I appreciate that, Your Honor. And here is the reason for the motion for a mistrial with prejudice. On its own, to do this, and you put together all of the parts of what just occurred. You start with the fact that if I could, Your Honor, now that I have.
To quote again, Mr. Betterow, Alessi, Mr. Alessi, does very different law normally. He does international, God, I should think before I start talking. International, like sort of contract law for environmental stuff, I believe. I'm probably talking out my ass. So for him to get down in the trenches in a superior court, so a state court, you know, to do this pro bono, mind you, no money, no. And Alessi charges $1,800 an hour. 1800 an hour. Pro bono, not charging any. Fuck, I love that man.
I have it yet, Mark, so I can refer to it.
All right.
Thank you.
Can we print extra copies too, so I can have my
Like he's corporate law normally.
and full Commonwealth to see?
Apparently he was, advising somewhat to the defense team in the first trial. I might be making that up, but pretend I'm telling the truth. And when there was a mistrial, what the fuck? He said, I'm on this. He's worth every penny, right? Thank you, Colors Flight. Robert Alessi serves as the global vice chair for the DLA Piper's energy sector. He is regularly called upon by Fortune 500 companies, domestic and international clients, to handle their most significant energy. He can handle my energy any day of the week, mate. Can he handle mine, though? Maybe. He's got some big energy of his own.
I'm going to show the Commonwealth.
Wait, there's more. Thank you, Colors. Environmental and financial services matters, and be they the defense of government and government, criminal and enforcement actions, judicial and administrative trials, and appellate litigation, regulatory compliance. There's a comma there. Pause. It's coming. That's what she said. Project development or major transactions. He has been repeatedly acclaimed for his multifaceted practice in the leading legal rating publications. The best lawyers. So we stand Alessi. And he's had his nose broken 7 times. And he's 67 with guns of steel. Project development and or major transactions. He has been repeatedly, that's what you just said already. We'll get to it. I'll come back to it. Keep going, sir. I miss Madam Court Reporter from the first trial. She was great. I don't like this bitch. Sorry, love. He's also a boxer. Yes.
Here's another document.
Okay, Bev. Okay.
And then I have the extra copy. Quickly, chronologically, so we have a hoodie sweatshirt that was brought into the criminalist, Ms. Hartnett, with the back of the hoodie with no holes on it. The criminalist makes cuts to the back of the hoodie, makes cuts to the front of the hoodie. The exhibit, Your Honor, depicts those. There's a chain of custody document that describes the chain of custody for the hoodie and the cuts in the chronology.
Yes. Yes, P. 2 weeks.
And of course, we have Exhibit 88, which is the hoodie. So what Mr. Brennan did, and I'm now pulling Exhibit 88, he holds up the back of the hoodie, which has cuts in the back from the criminalist, somebody from the Commonwealth, a witness in this case, Ms. Hartman. She's testified, and Mr. Brennan has indicated he wants her to come back and testify, which we welcome. And now what we have is we have holes in the back of the sweatshirt that were dramatically held up to and confronted with Dr. Wolfe, and then the jury sees it. With the clear, unmistakable, purposeful intention of having the jury conclude that these holes could have come from events on January 29th of 2022, when in fact the Commonwealth well knows from its own documents, from its own criminalist, that those holes in the back were caused by their criminalist as part of their examination and sampling of the hoodie. What could be more egregious? What could be more misleading than that? And what could be more important for a context than the alleged collision that never occurred? That's the topic before some of the most significant and probative witnesses in this trial.
He's so passionate.
The Commonwealth has been attacking from the jump of pretrial. They picked the most opportune, sensitive time to pull this stuff. This is intentional. This is irremediable. This is on the key issue of this case.
Wait, isn't it bi-monthly, or is that every 2 months? Fuck. Stay on topic. Chat.
Whether there was any collision at all. On its own, Your Honor, on its own, this is a mistrial with prejudice. But I add to that what just happened, and I'm not going to repeat or go into other than to reference. This comes on just mere days after the Commonwealth raised the specter of absence of DNA on the same hoodie sweatshirt without having the criminalist, Ms. Kuhn from UC Davis come in. I know Your Honor already ruled on that.
Right. So let's move along from
right,
that.
And I'm going to come back to this.
She's vile.
Why is this occurring, Your Honor? Why is this happening? The Commonwealth has no case. They have no collision. They are desperate and are trying to create evidence of specters of collision where the evidence doesn't support it. So what have we come to? We've come to the manufacture of evidence. We've come to, incredibly, taking a hoodie, a key piece of evidence in this case, and holding it
out of his way
to Dr. Wolfe, the ARCCA expert, to try to make it seem like Dr. Wolfe didn't do his job.
Oh my God.
You didn't account for these holes. How could you be a credible accident reconstructionist when you talk about some holes, but you don't talk about these holes? Knowing all along the holes that Attorney Brennan is trying to impeach Dr. Wolfe on were caused by the Commonwealth's own.
Just watch this bitch, Hank Brennan's fucking paralegal, whatever she is, sitting there, rolling her eyes. Fuck off.
Criminalist as part of sampling. I don't believe one could come up with more misleading, misdirecting, elucidation of testimony.
Great word, one of my favorites.
On the key issue in the case. We have irrefutable, objective evidence, and I will state that it's more than interesting that none of these exhibits that Your Honor now has marked for identification were put in evidence by the Commonwealth. Isn't it some coincidence that these are the one and the only one of the, with regard to the hoodie, the back of it's not in, all of the rest of them are, but these aren't. Your Honor, I think there is
So
one and only one conclusion, in that this is intentional, that it is a matter of such significance and of such misconduct and intentional that it merits the sanction of a mistrial with prejudice. The amount of effort, the amount of work, I can't even begin to think to remedy this in front of the jury, to go
Hi,
backwards
Timberman.
on this.
Yes, we just talked
That
about
should
that.
not befall the defense. That should
Worth every
befall
penny, huh?
the prosecution. Ms. Reed, again, is entitled, like every other defendant in this wonderful Commonwealth, to a fair trial.
That guy there, can you see my mouse? Why can't you see my mouse? Oh, yeah, you can. There we go. Wait, you can. This guy here, Pee Wee Herman, he's the Commonwealth's appellate lawyer, attorney.
The
For appeals.
prosecution is supposed to be held to a higher standard, to do justice, to create a fair trial.
But also, I don't know who this lady is on the far right of the screen, but she is mesmerized. The other two, you know what? Sidebar. Do you know what I sometimes think? What does like, do these idiots, yeah, the idiots, the paralegal, or legal secretary, Pee Wee Herman, like version 2 Madam Court reporter, the other chick that sits next to her, Jim, put your dick away, Jim. What do they think? Are they coming to work every day going, wow, I can't believe I'm involved in this farce, this fiasco, this fucking witch hunt? What do you think they're going? Yeah, right on, Brennan. Convict her. Hashtag Karen Read is guilty. Interesting. The lady on the right is with the family. He's mesmerizing. How can you not watch him? He's so captivating. Carry on, Mr. Alessi.
This is the antithesis of a fair trial. Miss Reed's rights under the Constitution and the Declaration of Rights have once again been trampled on, and it is becoming evidently clear the more desperate the prosecution gets because it can't prove its theory, including its own medical examiner can't support them, that they're now resorting to conduct like this. Your Honor, at some point, this has to come to an end. At some point, Ms. Reed's rights have to be protected. At some point, confidence in the judicial system, the public's confidence in the judicial system, that prosecutors will conduct themselves with their duty to present a fair trial. That has to be enforced at some point for Ms. Reed to receive the fair trial that she and every other defendant in this Commonwealth is entitled to.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brennan.
I hate that man. I truly hate him.
So, before we hang Brennan, just cast your mind back. I'm sure you've heard this before. But let's just think about every other time Hank gets up in argument outside of the presence of the jury, and he gaslights the fuck. He bold-faced lies. He casts aspersions. He projects. He uses ad hominem, like which means personal attacks, fallacies on in his argument. He has nothing, right? Think about his demeanor every other time. Just cast your mind back. It's vile, right? Now watch this.
Your Honor, my brief review of the lab paperwork and looking at the hoodie, it appears that I made a mistake. And so I think what should happen is there should be curative instruction. There should be a stipulation. The court should instruct the jury that during Mr. Brennan's cross-examination, he asked Dr. Wolfe about holes on the sweatshirt or holes on the back of Mr. O'Keefe's sweatshirt. The parties agree the holes were made by a crime lab technician. This was done inadvertently, but should not have been asked. The court should strike the questions and the answers.
Bullshit.
And you should instruct the jury there to completely disregard any questions or answers about the holes in the back of the sweatshirt. And the court should allow the defense to introduce the lab paperwork.
All right. So I'm not going to allow the mistrial motion.
No
Mr.
shit.
Alessi. What I'm going to do is instruct the jurors. I'm going to put in what's been marked for identification, Y, Z, A, and B. 4 of each letters. I'm going to put all these into evidence. They can be displayed for the jury, and I'm going to instruct the jury that during the cross-examination of Dr. Wolfe, Mr. Brennan asked him about holes in the back of the sweatshirt and whether or not they perhaps could have come from events.
Basically, she's talking out her ass, right? She doesn't say any of that.
With regard to two things. One, I would like the opportunity to have a hoodie sweatshirt held up. Because that's what happened.
Yes, 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 yes.
She's so flippant. Yeah, okay. Yep, sure, whatever. Yep. She's...
That's number one as part of the stipulation. And then
I'm not wording it as a stipulation, and I'm not saying it was inadvertent. I am giving an instruction that they cannot consider it for this purpose, and I am allowing these
Absolutely,
to be placed
colours.
into evidence. So
Hands
it's not
down.
a stipulation.
Mistrial.
It's
Bye.
from me.
Be
Which
free,
I think
Karen
is
Read.
more forceful.
I just hope, Your Honor, I agree, not the stipulation, but just as Your Honor said, with regard to the matter Your Honor said they're not to take an inference, I would respectfully request that this be handled just like Your Honor did with regard to the rock at 34 Fairview. Your Honor said that rock wasn't present, on or about time ago.
So I do say.
Pause. We had someone in our chat last night, I can't remember who it was, who still felt like, who was still under the impression that Albert rock, and it wasn't a troll, it was well, they were participating in the chat. I was like, who was that? And they still thought that the Albert rock was a legit rock that maybe that was a thing. Yeah, a planted thing. Fuck.
Do say that when I say Ms. Harnett did this. So
rewording
it just a little bit.
Yes.
Mr. Brennan asked Dr. Wolfe about holes.
Okay, Bev. Lies. What's the point of listening to it?
All right. Jurors, I appreciate your patience. Mr. Alessi, why don't you hold the exhibit up for the jurors, please?
Carl Dougal there that day. Mr. Shoulder Barge himself.
All right, jurors, that's the back of the sweatshirt that was shown to Dr. Wolfe.
He's so serious,
Okay.
as he should
Thank
be.
you. Why don't you go ahead and put it back in the bag? So, jurors, I instruct you that those holes were made by the criminalist, Ms. Harnett, during the course of her inspection and sampling of the
what a
sweatshirt
shame.
back on May 18th, 2023. Okay? So,
Okay.
I know your
Lies.
lunches are here, but I think we'll...
Fuck, maybe she's got an eating disorder. She's so fixated on lunch. What do they get for lunch? Does anyone know? Where's Cheryl today? Oh, she wouldn't know. She doesn't talk to the jury. Cheryl's there, boots on the ground most days. So Bev can eat a bag of dicks and she can suck and swallow. What do we got? Let's hear what Bob and Ali have got to say. And Mr. Betterow, all caps. Oh, it's fucking...
To say things, whether they be sometimes untrue. He's not afraid to mix it up. He's not afraid to get snivelly, pissy, push back, instigate. And when after that speech and he went up, he had his tail between his legs and very sheepishly read, his little...
Pause. Just going to say, how beautiful is Ali Motta? Wow. She's stunning. I love her so much. Inside and out. Smart and pretty. Love her.
Prepared statement, in essence, quasi apologizing. But even more noticeable to me was most lawyers, okay, certainly me, probably you too, if I'm getting called out in open court in front of the world, basically,
I've got to bite
and
back.
accused of committing intentional misconduct that I absolutely did not do. Am I allowed to swear on this channel?
Of course. I've been doing it.
Fuck you. Am I going to tell you to go fuck yourself? And we're going to talk about this. And he didn't even try. He just took it and sheepishly took it. And
like you said, that's not been his personality this entire time. Even when he's wrong, he'll stand up and scream that he's right and flip it around on the defense. And he just took it. And you're right. It does all say a lot. And now that, explains why, because people were saying that to us earlier when we were on. Mark says he was doing it to cover his own ass. And now it all.
You mean Bev, right? Not Ali.
That's my view. I think it makes sense because, I mean, look, obviously you could make a credible argument that he was smart by not recalling Welcher because he's just going to you're feeding him to the wolves. I mean, Bob would eviscerate him. And again, the expression we like to say, there's blood on the floor. Like that would be a blood on the floor cross.
Yeah.
He would just slice him and dice him endlessly. But I don't see it that way. I mean, you don't give up a rebuttal. If he really had evidence that would hurt ARCCA, I think that he has a conflict in essence. It was about protecting his own rear end. I don't see any other reason because he still could have.
Absolutely. Strongly agree, Mr. Bedero. Strongly agree. Okay. Oh, now, Ms. What the fuck? I'm going to show you. I can't get this clip. It just comes up with blurry. So we're going to have to skip this. Sorry, chat. Peter Tragos, lawyer, If you'd like to watch that full conversation, the live stream was on Defense Diaries. It's called Pardon the Corruption. So any of the Defense Diaries chats with Mr. Beto, any of the Defense Diaries streams full stop 1010 would. Hi, Mr. Meathook. Good to see you. Now, so, okay. Let me just check. We're going to skip the PI guy because he just took measurements, although I loved his credentials. I wonder if he's friends with any of them. Maybe he's a friend of David Yanetti, this guy. Oh, this guy. So John Tedderman, private investigator, also an attorney, Forum Investigations, used to work, overqualified surveyor, right? Used to work for the FBI, like, that was random, but I guess so the jury have the dimensions of the 34 Fairview in evidence. It's why he was there. And good work, sir. So then we go to the Queen. Sidebar. We're not going there yet. Wait. Thanks, Ms. What the fuck? Let's do this, Peter.
As she continues to hurry up these lawyers, there's a bunch of questions like Christie's. Be honest. Would you want to try a case with this judge? Absolutely not. I would not want to. She is like a referee who wants to be the star of the show. She inserts herself way too often. She makes things way too difficult. She doesn't let the lawyers lawyer. And there have been multiple times where it feels like it's she and Hank Brennan trying to work together on a solution. And like, she's like, Mr. Brennan, I know what I think is wrong with Dr. Laposata's report or where I'm going to limit it, but it's your motion. So what are you going to limit? Multiple times I've felt that way. And as she continues to hurry up these lawyers.
Thank you, Ms. What the fuck? Yeah, I couldn't get it wouldn't do the clip. It just kept going in this endless loop for me when I was queuing things up. I was like, I can't do it. So, oh, wait. I've lost my, thanks. Wait, so, my share screen's gone. Sorry, first day. Hang on. It's called Karen Read Retrial. There, the first one in the lineup. Fantastic. I love that for us. So, the Queen. This woman, what a smart and pretty, right, Rachel? Peter Tragos is a treat inside and out. Wonder what he thinks about load distributions. Sorry. I said what I said. Am I in the right spot? Yes. I think, let me just check my thing. The thanks to Ms. What the fuck for the. Okay. We're going to go to. What would you suggest, Ms. What the fuck? What the fuck? You know what? Wait, am I on the right day? Just walk and talk, chat. Don't mind me. Excuse me. Oh my God.
Hey.
Oh no, you poor thing.
It's okay. I've got most of my voice back. It's coming. I would skip to day 30 if I were you.
Okay. Wait, okay. Get day 30. Good idea. Oh wait. Why don't I have that there? Is this day 30?
No, that's still day 29.
Could you please pull it up on the screen for me?
Yes, of course.
Thank you so much. Get better. Thank you. Shandwan? Nana Kath, hi Ma. You're in New Zealand? Stop it. Girl. Thank you. Nana Kath. Hi, Nana Kath.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
Oh. Oops. I'm a professional. Right. Oh, now, before we go pressing play, Gerda, I've been given some instructions on how to say your name. I haven't practiced it, but I've been saying Gerda like a full Aussie. And I'm supposed to roll my R. Here we go. Wow. This could be a macrame chameleon moment. Oh, fuck. Gerda. Am I? I'm sorry. I'm butchering your name. I'd love you to type phonetically how we should say it. Please and thank you. Gerda. Hi, Rach. Good to see you. Gerda. I can't roll my R's. Okay, that's enough. Yikes. Clip it. Gerda. Is that right? I feel like I might have it. Chameleon I am.
All right, Mr. Jackson, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Dr. Laposata. Nice to see you again.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Yesterday, when we last left off, we were talking about a small injury to the upper eyelid of Mr. O'Keefe. Do you recall that?
I do.
Could we have Exhibit 165 with the person permission, please?
Okay.
I'd like you to take a look at a specific area.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for being here.
So I'm going to skip forward to kind of her opinion.
Yes.
And then we'll keep going from there.
Wait, this is still in direct, right? Because then
Yeah.
we've got that short. Yes. Thank you. Start with a purr before you roll an R. I used to have a tongue tie, Grazer. I struggle with. I like literally when I was 8, I had my tongue tie snipped. Gerda. Oh, Gerda says don't even try. Wait, pause. Gerda says don't even try. Still not right.
Oh,
that's okay. It's a very Afrikaans name. Do rolling of the R at just call me G. Okay, G. Perfect. Someone definitely schooled me in it was like you're saying it all wrong. I'm like, it's a real theme. Hi, Joshmo. Good to see you. G. Good. Love it. Okay, let's go. Dr. Laposata.
Is that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
yes.
You indicated earlier that there is a difference between someone dying of hypothermia, complications associated with hypothermia, and a body which already passed away just cooling, correct?
Correct.
Do you have an opinion as to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to whether Mr. O'Keefe suffered from hypothermia?
I do have an opinion.
What is that opinion?
He did not experience hypothermia.
Did you observe any signs of frostbite?
Heather.
No.
Pammy.
Did that have any weight concerning your opinion, overall opinion, as to whether or not Mr. O'Keefe died with complications associated with hypothermia?
Well,
Why
if someone
stop
dies
trying?
due to exposure to low temperatures, you expect to see not only the Wisniewski's ulcers, but you expect to see some frostbite changes in the extremities.
Based on your overall review of the medical records associated with Mr. O'Keefe, were you able to reach an opinion and conclusion as to the cause of death of Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes,
What is that opinion?
he died of brain injuries and skull fractures due to blunt force trauma of the head.
Do you hold that opinion for Mr. O'Keefe's cause of death to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes.
I want to shift gears for a minute, Dr.
She must have
Laposata,
had
and talk
cheese.
about patterned injuries elsewhere on Mr. O'Keefe's body. You've obviously talked about your training and experience as it relates to recognition of patterned
Skip it for me,
wounds, correct?
Sydney.
Correct.
Hi, Grass.
That's something that you were trained in when you were training, correct?
Yes, it's very basic to the discipline of forensic pathology.
And have you also trained others during the course of your 40-year career on the issue of wound pattern recognition?
Yes.
You've taught courses and given lectures, is that right?
Yes, I have.
I'd like to show you Exhibit 167 with the court's permission.
Waylon and
Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
Yes.
How do you recognize it?
Is
Shout out to Ruthie's 13-month-old twin grandbabies, Waylon and Winona. Cutest little things. Cute as a button. You're a very lucky grandma. Sorry, Dr. Laposata.
a photograph
Oh,
of
actually, pause.
the right
Wait.
arm of
Pause. Sorry. You know how she was breathing labored? Colors was losing her mind because in Andrea Burkhart's chat, everyone was fixated on the doctor's breathing into the microphone, her labored breathing. And then, I don't know, I don't recall her breathing like that when Hank Brennan was questioning her. I feel like she was playing him a little bit. What do you think, chat? What do you think? Okay, keep going.
Did you review and consider this photograph and others in coming or forming your opinions, coming to your conclusions and opinions in this case?
Yes.
In order to come to your ultimate opinion and conclusion, or opinions and conclusions in this case, is it important to take all of the injuries that a decedent may have suffered into account rather than one or two piecemeal?
No, you have to look at the whole picture to understand what happened to the body.
Why is that? What's the importance of that? It may be obvious, but explain that for the viewers, please.
Well, when you're looking at changes and injuries to the body and trying to understand what happened to the body, there are different patterns of injuries on different parts of the body. And by trying to separate those and understand what patterns were caused by certain things, then you're able to put together a sequence of events before that happened to the body prior to death.
What role do photographs play in a forensic medical examiner reviewing the medical evidence and coming to opinions and conclusions? How important are photographs?
Oh, those are huge. It's standard practice to always document at the postmortem examination important findings with photography.
Were the photos in Mr. O'Keefe's case useful in coming to opinions and conclusions concerning his injuries altogether?
Yes.
What about his injury?
Actually, pause. Sorry.
Photographs.
Sidebar. Sorry, Dr. Queen. Simi, it didn't register with me that you added the guitar and the roller skate. Look at you. Represent. I love it. That's so cool. I love. Carry on, Ms. What the Fuck. Thank you.
Very important to understand those injuries.
Do you believe that there is a patterned injury on Mr. O'Keefe's right arm?
Yes, there is a pattern injury there.
Have you ever seen, in your experience, either being taught or teaching, patterned injuries as they relate to animal wounds, generally?
Oh, absolutely. Very common.
Do animal wounds include both claws and teeth, dentin?
Yes.
So bite marks and claw marks might be two different types of patterned wounds that you may see in your evaluation, just in general?
Correct, because when an animal approaches the body, there may be damage from the claws and also from the mouth.
Do you expect to see punctate wounds as well as linear abrasions?
Yes.
Do you expect to see certain bite patterns as well?
Yes.
What types of injuries, let's talk about animals in general, what types of injuries do animals produce on the skin of human beings?
Well, animals can produce, if you're talking about, mammals, they can produce injuries from their claws, where you get parallel scrapes of the skin from the claws applied to the skin.
Furrow.
Or you can see a pattern from the jaw configuration of the animal. And most animals that attack or get in contact with the body have canines. So there's two canines on either side that make paired marks, and that would be called a pattern injury. So it makes parallel sort of gouges, and as the canines move in a horizontal pattern or a vertical pattern, the space between them can change. The other thing you see in a animal bite is you see not only the canines that come out, but depending on how the jaw is applied to the body, you can have little dot-like imprints in sort of a U-shaped pattern, which are from the incisors, the little incisors of the animal. So you look for punctures, you look for paired gouges, which would be the canines, and then you look for arced patterns of little dots, which can be the application of the incisors of an animal bite.
What is an incised wound?
An incised wound is a wound due to cutting from a sharp object.
Would you expect to see incised wounds from an animal bite or claw marks?
No, they don't cause, they're not like knife wounds. They cause more of a scraping injury.
Do you see the injuries that you're looking at in Exhibit 167, are these more consistent with incised wounds or the scraping abrasions that you just talked about?
Sustained.
Were you able to determine from your review of the medical records whether the injuries that you see on Mr. O'Keefe's right arm were pre-mortem or post-mortem?
They were, yes, I can determine that. They were inflicted prior to death.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not the wounds that you see, the patterned injury that you see on Mr. O'Keefe's right arm, is consistent with an animal bite or claw marks?
Yes, it is, very much.
Thank you. You can take that down. May I have just a moment, Your Honor? Actually, Your Honor, may we approach very briefly?
Okay.
Arms were pre-mortem, not post-mortem. His right arm, I should say, were pre-mortem, not post-mortem, correct?
Correct.
What's the basis for that opinion?
Flowing. So
medical examiner's complete records, that any effort was made to send investigators to the location to see if there were any animals at the location at or around the time of John O'Keefe's death.
Sustained.
Do you believe it's important? Well, let me ask it a different way. Would following up with investigators be an important part of any forensic pathology investigation?
Oh, absolutely. You're working as a team to figure out what happened to the body.
Thank you.
Body. I love how she says body.
We talked about the theme and theory of differential diagnosis, correct?
Yes.
How does engaging in the process of differential diagnoses avoid bias in an investigation?
By after you have your findings and you sit back and think, well, how many ways could I get this finding? And so bias sometimes means, oh, I think it's this, and then you just stop. So that's a sort of a bias where you make a decision too quickly and you don't then stop to consider what other things could cause this same finding. So you have to consider not only what immediately comes to mind, but then you think, how else could we get this pattern of injuries?
Did you engage in a differential diagnosis as it relates to this case?
Yes,
Did you consider whether the injuries could have been caused by a motor vehicle accident?
I did consider that.
Did you consider whether Mr. O'Keefe's right arm injuries specifically could have been caused by being hit by a motor vehicle?
Yes, I did think about that.
Were you able to rule that out?
Absolutely, not.
So the objection sustained, or strike that answer.
Tell me about, well, let me ask it this way. Did you come to an opinion or conclusion as to whether or not Mr. O'Keefe's injuries as a whole were produced by a motor vehicle pedestrian incident?
Sustained.
You indicated that you've done thousands of autopsies yourself, correct?
Yes.
You've supervised many times more than.
Correct.
The badass.
How many of those autopsies that you've performed or supervised have involved motor vehicle incidents?
No, hundreds.
How many of those hundreds have involved motor vehicle pedestrian incidents?
Almost as many.
Have you performed autopsies specifically on individuals known to be hit by vehicles?
Yes.
Have you performed autopsies on individuals believed to be hit by vehicles?
Yes.
Have you engaged in differential diagnosis and inferential thinking in terms of developing an opinion or conclusion to a medical certainty about whether or not the injuries that you see on a decedent are consistent or inconsistent with a motor vehicle pedestrian incident?
Yes, that's part of what we figure out as a forensic pathologist.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes, I sustained.
What are some of the injuries that you would expect generally to exist if a pedestrian is hit by a motor vehicle at speed, not 1-2 miles an hour, let's say 20 plus miles an hour?
Yes, one of the things you see is a pedestrian is, standing upright and is impacted by this blunt object of a automobile or a van or SUV. And what you see first most is the tissue is crushed where the projections of the vehicle impact the tissue. And when you crush the tissue, that gives you a bruise. So that's the first part of the pattern of impact. It crushes the tissue, it gives you a bruise because it breaks the blood vessels underneath the skin. And then depending on how much more force is applied, the skin can break.
So I'm going to strike that. Next question, Mr. Jackson.
In addition to bruising, what else might you expect to find in an individual who's been struck by a vehicle at speed?
So let's come over a second.
Oh, yes. It's not cool. 3 so far. Xrays is doing a count.
Pick up. As best my memory can serve me.
We
It
will
has been
strike
suggested
you.
that
Strike
Mr.
that.
O'Keefe's
Strike
right
Bev.
arm, Doctor, was injured by contact with the right rear taillight of Miss Reed's 2021 Lexus LX570.
Nope, I'm allowing that in.
Thank you. As Mr. O'Keefe, it was struck as Mr. O'Keefe was standing and the Lexus backed into him. That was a postulate put forward. I want to find out from you, do you agree with that?
Well, that's something to think of.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm going to strike that question and answer.
Let me ask it a different way. Let me ask you a different question.
She's like, what the fuck?
Do Mr. O'Keefe's pattern injuries on his right arm, do they correspond to injuries that could have been produced by irregular fractured plastic pieces impacting his arm?
No, not at all.
Why do you say that?
First of all, those injuries are patterned injuries from an animal bite. We have the canines, we have the incisors.
All right, so I'm going to strike that, and let's see your typo.
Sidebar. Pull up, bitch. Fuck you, Bev.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
In your report, Doctor, you indicated that Mr. O'Keefe's patterned injuries on his right arm do not correspond to injuries that could have been produced by irregular fractured plastic pieces impacting his arm. Do you recall putting that in your report?
Yes, I wrote that.
Do you stand by that?
Yes, that's my conclusion.
And you also wrote his arm had no tissue bruising from impact injury. Do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Do you stand by that?
I do.
You also wrote, neither did his skin show any array of irregular, unpredictable, randomly scattered cuts and scrapes at various angles and depths. Do you remember writing that?
I did.
And do you stand by that?
I do.
You also wrote that you noted Mr. O'Keefe had no bruising on his arms or torso. Is that right?
Correct.
And you also wrote, in particular, Mr. O'Keefe did not have bruises on his legs, correct?
Yes, correct.
And you indicated that that was shown by dissection of the leg tissue and muscle at autopsy. Is that right?
Yes, there was a special leg dissection done to look for bumper impacts.
We never heard that first trial, did we? And X-rays. What about that?
You reviewed the entirety of the medical records associated with the autopsy?
Yes.
Including photographs?
Taken to the hospital, yes.
Okay. And autopsy photographs?
Yes.
And other data and documentation, correct?
Yes.
Are X-rays an important part of an autopsy journal?
Oh, yes. Usually there are X-rays taken of the body prior to the examination.
What do X-rays show? Why are those important?
They're important because they show foreign material in the body, like a bullet. They also image the skeleton, so we can look for fractures of the bones.
At least we know when AJ ruffles his papers, he's actually getting stuff to look at, real actual stuff. It's not just props.
I
reckon you could be right. Ooh, a big chalk. Ooh. See, the things you miss when you're not watching, you're just listening.
Yes. Okay, and we'll do that afterwards. Just please go ahead.
you see any X-rays?
They were
I did.
always there.
What were the X-rays of?
Pause, please,
The
Ms.
X-rays
Watson.
were taken.
Pure Duckery says, where did the X-rays come from? So the medical examiner testified in the first trial that they didn't put them into evidence, but she testified, Dr. Irini Scortibello testified that that there was, she just basically said there was no evidence of any broken bones or anything below, no fractures below the neck, below his skull fracture. And I think I presume that the defense just assumed that the medical examiner's word would be good enough as her testimony for the jury. But then this time round they decided to bring them in, but particularly when Dud Welcher said there was no X-rays. They're definitely going to bring them in, right? So the famous missing X-rays, yes. Mrs. Unbronzed is awake now. She loves her Shorty shirt, by the way. Excellent, Grazer. Well, you're in the draw. Maybe you could have matching ones. That's pretty cool. Thank you so much. Wait, okay, we'll press play. Thank you, Ms. What the fuck. Let me get my little thingy thing.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away. Shit.
Taken of Mr. O'Keefe at the medical examiner's office, and they were X-rays of his chest, his arms, and his legs.
Yeah.
Did you specifically review X-rays of his right appendage, hand, forearm, arm?
Yes, they were included in the X-rays.
Have you seen X-rays before?
Oh, many times.
How many times?
Thousands, probably.
Is part of your job to review X-rays?
Oh,
to make
absolutely.
a determination of whether or not they indicate broken bones, fractures, hairline fractures, things of that nature?
Yes, it's part of the medical legal autopsy to study the X-rays of the deceased.
That's done in the ordinary course of being a forensic pathologist, is that right?
Yes.
Are you trained on how to read X-rays?
Yes.
You have to be a radiologist to read an X-ray as a medical doctor?
No.
Medical doctors do that all the time, correct?
Yes, it's part of general medical training.
And is it also part of specialized training for forensic pathologists?
It falls under the rubric of general radiology that a doctor knows. There are some specialized areas in forensic where you have to understand like decompositional changes that you can see on an X-ray that aren't something that you would see in a clinical setting.
Taking the appendage one item at a time, did you look at Mr. O'Keefe's X-rays of Mr. O'Keefe's right hand?
Yes.
Did you see any
Yes,
defects
Collins, they
in the
do.
bones of the right hand?
No bony defects, and the tissue was normal.
Did you take a look at the X-ray of Mr. O'Keefe's right arm?
Yes.
Did you notice any defects at all in the bones of the right arm?
No, the bones in the right arm were intact.
No breaks?
Correct, no breaks.
Fractures, hairline fractures?
No.
Did you look at the upper arm X-ray of Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes.
Did you note any defects in the bone structure of Mr. O'Keefe's upper arm?
No, the bones were 100% intact.
No breaks, fractures, hairline fractures?
Correct, none of those.
Was there any indication in your mind, based on your review of those three X-rays, the hand, forearm, the arm, that arm had suffered any kind of bone trauma at all? Okay.
Sustained.
Was there any indication, based on your review and your expert opinion, that his arm had been broken, fractured?
No, the bones were intact. No breakage, no fractures.
Thank you.
It's
examination. The truth in this courtroom. You're entitled to it. Demand it.
Yes, we want the truth. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is a Miss Shorty short. Can you? Yes, make it bigger. That's what she said.
Good afternoon, Dr. Laposata.
6 minutes till the afternoon. Good afternoon.
That's okay. You wrote a report in this case, doctor?
Yes, I did.
Do you think that based on your analysis, was Mr. O'Keefe thrust backwards? Is that what you determined looking at his head injury?
That he was, I didn't understand. You had your hand in front of your mouth.
Sure, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You talked about a head injury that Mr. O'Keefe had that
Yes.
he suffered from?
Yes.
That caused his death?
Yes.
Was that caused by being thrust backwards?
Yeah, the motion was upwards, down.
Okay. And the way you just showed it could be a fall.
Correct.
Did you have an opinion looking at his wound that he was thrust backwards?
What do you mean thrust?
Well-
His body went backwards. There may have been some applied force to it.
I don't know about thrust. I'm asking if you have an opinion. Your words. Do you have an opinion about thrust?
What do you mean thrust?
Did the forensic pathology diagnosis mean Mr. O'Keefe's body was thrust backward?
If you want to say thrust as indicating movement, that it went backwards, then you could say it was thrust.
Okay, may I approach?
Yes.
Good
Too many times saying thrust. Oh my goodness. Who just sent me coffees? Ah, Miss Stephanie blah blah blah. Thank you for sending coffees. I love you too, girl. Very, very much. Now, before we go on, Ms. What the Fuck, can we please? I've got something and I can't play it with sound. I sent this to you earlier, Ms. What the Fuck, but I want to play it for everybody. I can't play it with sound because it's got music. Which is, hang on. Go. Ready, set, go. Why isn't it coming up? That's what she said. There we go. So this is a little appreciation post for all of the men. And the song that goes with it, if I play with the music, I'll get copyright, and that nobody needs that. I don't need to be demonetized for my $12.40 for this live stream if I'm lucky. It's probably more like $6 from AdSense. But it's some great footage. So enjoy, chat. I'll talk over the top of it. Wow. Just pretend like it's got music. Let's hear it for the boy. It's Let's Hear It for the Boys. You remember that song. Oh, Mr. Alessi. Oh, Mr. Jackson. You can see the lyrics down the bottom anyway. Oh. Pause. Starting from the start. There you go. A little bit of attorney porn. Now, love Alessi. Love all of them. I love all of them. I can't decide. Mr. Yanetti's dimples are pretty cute. He's pretty cute. So what have we got next? Ms. What the Fuck? You've got this? I can't do it. That's what she said. There we go. Meanwhile, Hanky alone with his files, right? Okay. Queen L. Queen Dr. L. My dogs are snoring if you can hear them. It's Buster. Oh, while we're getting this queued up, coming up at some point in time. Damn it. Coming up at a time to be determined. When we finish this, there's a portal set up for our next stream, which is our new jam on Saturday nights, where we spend a couple of minutes on YouTube in a separate stream, and then we head on over to Kick, which is a streaming platform, very much like YouTube minus the copyright infringements. It's a great segue from me not being able to play that clip with sound because of the copyright. So, excuse me. And tonight, so on Kick, we can watch whatever we want. For the last 2 weekends, we watched A Body in the Snow, the most recent Karen Read documentary. It was great. Colors Flight. And tonight we're going to watch The Departed, the movie with Academy Award winning movie with Matt Damon. Is it Leonardo DiCaprio and Jack? What's his name?
Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson, thank you. So it's a pretty long movie, but I was recommended that one as being rather relevant to the bullshit going on in this Karen Read trial, and I haven't seen it. I haven't seen many movies. If you know me, you know I'm not a movie person, but I'm going to watch it with you all. So that's exciting. Hi, Yvette, good to see you. You're the tits. Love from Texas. Thank you. So if you're not already, the way Kick works is you just need to have the app on your phone or on your laptop. I find it easier on a computer, but whatever. And then you follow, and we can help you from there. But we'll be starting on YouTube. So come and hang on YouTube, and then come and hang on Kick for a Saturday night. Now, a couple of little other housekeeping things. Wait. I'll go here. Laura, member for 5 months. Time flies, Laura. And then Ruthie, I'm the only person on the planet allowed to call Ms. Queen Olive Ruth Ann Ruthie. I get away with murder, not like the Amber Galberts, but with that kind of thing. 10 months. You are the OG of OGs, girl. And now I want to. G just became a YouTube member. That's awesome. Thank you so much for becoming a shorty. Well, you're already a shorty, but I'm gonna get Google to teach me how to say your name. I'm gonna come in next stream and I'm gonna just absolutely nail it. But for now, I'll call you G. It's Boston as fuck, right? Yes. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a very long movie. We'll see how everyone's feeling as to what time we finish and how everyone's feeling. We might do half and half, but nah, we'll see. I forgot to have breakfast this morning. I was so busy, like actually preparing for the live, I forgot. So if I head off and get cheese, that's what. Miss Shorty, you need to write the book. Nobody in the Snow. Yikes! I don't think my ADHD is the patience for writing a book. I did start writing my memoirs. But I got just into the epilogue, no, the prologue. And I was like, I might just do YouTube instead. Well, Ms. G, challenge accepted. I'm pretty good at some accents. Surely the South African accent is quite similar to the Australian accent in many ways. I'm going to learn it. And then I'll butcher it on the stream. All right, let's go with the Queen. Thank you.
To give a clinician equal, if not better, opportunity to examine the brain as actually cutting it and holding it in your hand?
No, the actual gold standard is the pathology, to be able to have the brain in your hand, look at it with your naked eye. And we have conferences in the hospital where we meet with radiologists and say what we find at autopsy and see if their radiology was correct.
Can CAT scans and MRIs show contusions on the brain?
Well, they might.
Subdermal hemorrhages?
Subdural hemorrhages. Yes, they
Herniations?
can. They can.
Do you have any doubt about the modern medicine and the use of MRIs and CAT scans? Do you think they're inadequate in any way?
Well, I'm not a clinician, so I don't use those to diagnose diseases in living patients.
Dr. Laposata, have you ever had any experience studying the brain in real time, clinically? Going and opening somebody's skull and treating the injury before the person dies?
No, I'm not a neurosurgeon.
You don't have any neurological expertise, do you?
I'm not a neurologist. I'm not a neurosurgeon. I'm a forensic pathologist.
Do you have any clinical experience at all?
227, sir.
Where there's an acute head injury,
highest esteem,
and you're making an effort to observe it and analyze the injury as it progresses in an attempt to save the person's life?
I don't treat or diagnose living patients.
I understand, but as far as your background, have you ever had any experience, clinical experience, showing the progress of an actual brain injury and trying to treat it?
I understand the physiology of what happens to the brain when it is impacted by something, whether it be a bullet, a boulder, a fall. So I know what happens to the body to cause the changes from that trauma. I don't treat people for those injuries.
In observing a brain that's in trauma and making determinations of how long it's viable or whether the person will expire, do you know the process that
Mark. Thank you for being
neurosurgeon
here.
would go through in order to fight to preserve the person or save the person? Do you know the step-by-step process that they would undertake?
To do what?
To try to operate or save somebody from a head injury, from a brain injury.
I'm going to allow it because of Parkinson's.
Well, it depends on what the brain injury is. If you have head injury and you have bleeding on the brain that's pushing the brain one way or the other, it would be a subdural, then a neurosurgeon would come in and try to take that blood away so it doesn't compress the brain. So that's something that neurosurgeons do to treat head trauma. They can also put in drains into the ventricle of the brain, and that can relieve pressure in the brain because that brain swelling is a bad thing. So those are some of the things neurosurgeons do to treat brain injuries.
And can they remove part of the skull to relieve pressure?
Oh, yes, they can do that. It's called a craniotomy. They can take out part of the skull if they need to.
So there are a number of different steps that a neurosurgeon can take when someone suffers acute brain trauma to try to save the person, isn't there?
Well, the job of any doctor is to try to save a human life if you treat living patients. So certainly a neurosurgeon would evaluate the patient and decide if there's any treatment needed that could improve the patient.
When you've had cases in the past as a medical examiner where there have been issues regarding brain injury, wouldn't you agree that you have sought outside consultation with people who have a higher degree of specialty in brain injury than you?
Sometimes what we do is when we're examining the brain, we can call in for a conference and have a neuropathologist come in and review the brain with us.
And back when you were a medical examiner, you did that on a number of occasions.
Yes, that's routine.
The reason why is because there are different specialties in medicine, and some are different and separate than your specialty, correct?
Of course.
And a neurosurgeon or a brain surgeon, it would be a different specialty than yours.
Yes.
And they're focused on the brain, yes?
A neurosurgeon does brain surgery.
And
You know, he's got a brain.
How many times in your career do you think that you've assisted the help of neurosurgeons to take a look at brain study to help you?
I've never needed to speak with a neurosurgeon to look at a brain. Sometimes we call in neuropathologists and we have a forensic neuropathology conference where we look at brains with the interns and residents.
How often would you call a neuropathologist?
Maybe once a month we would have a routine conference.
And again, the neuropathologist, that's dealing with a person's brain after they're already died.
Correct.
So it's not a clinical setting or a clinical experience of actually watching the brain at work and seeing the injury as it progresses.
We don't do neuropathology like that on living people. The person is deceased.
Hey, while we're talking about The Departed still, I can't remember the name of the series. It was on like a streaming platform, and I think it had Marky Mark, like Mark Wahlberg, and it was set in Boston. It was very good. The accents were so good. I think it's called King of the Hill, but that's not it, because is it called King of the Town? King of the... Someone will remember. Someone will remember. Do you know what the fuck?
No, sorry.
All right. I got cheese.
We're going to pop over to JD. Had a great comment on this testimony.
Okay. Lovely.
When you looked at Mr. O'Keefe's brain, obviously it's after he already expired, correct?
Congratulations, Mr. Brennan. You have just asked an insane question. She is a pathologist. Pathologists deal with dead bodies to give us diagnoses and to explain causes of death. Obviously, if she's examining the brain, which nobody does directly, she's a pathologist. Obviously, he's dead. You just can't make this kind of stuff up.
Obviously.
It was a quick one, but I just love that.
I'm muted. He's so good. He just is so sassy and sweet and spot on with all of his analysis. I can't believe it's taken me so long to find JD, a lawyer explains. He's very, very good.
You had an opinion to the jury today, and you said that you believe that Mr. O'Keefe died within 15 minutes.
Yes, I think that process would start within 15 or 20 minutes.
Is that to a reasonable degree of medical certainty, that opinion?
Yes, based on the severity of the injury and the brain swelling.
You're aware that there are numerous level 1 trauma centers around the country that deal with brain injury, right?
Sure.
And the idea is that people suffer all types of brain injury, and if they are given medical attention in a reasonable amount of time, there's a chance they can be saved, yes?
Well, it's possible, but many are so severe that they cause death no matter how fast they can get medical attention.
In fact, every day when people get the right attention or proper attention, they're brought to level 1 trauma centers around this country to try to help them or save them. Isn't that fair to say?
I would hope so.
Do you think?
Sure.
When you looked at
Pause for a sec, please, Miss
Mr.
What the Fuck. So, chat having a conversation about whether Hanky has shot himself in the professional foot with regards to his conduct in this trial. The commentary I've heard from law tubers is that in terms of being hired by clients, defendants, no, people might like to have a bulldog who's a real go-getter with a nice side of prosecutorial misconduct. The problem for Hank is going to be the referral system. So not an official system, but people, attorneys, when they're too busy to take on a new client, they will refer that client to one of their friends, the old boy system, the esquires that they respect, and that's what Hanky will have shot himself in the foot for. No decent ethical attorney would ever now refer Hank Brennan to one of their prospective clients. So I think that's the problem. He's not going to lose his job. He will still have there's still a market for attorneys like Hank Brennan, sadly. It's just that not many of his peers will continue to bolster his business. So I think that's where there will be an issue. And I can't imagine he'll be maybe Norfolk County, maybe he'll be elected as the new Norfolk County DA. Lol. Just kidding.
Oh, that's terrible.
Keith's brain, obviously it's after he already expired, correct?
Obviously, yes.
And so you didn't have any clinical observation of the progress of his injury that night, did you?
I was not observing him. I did not observe how he got his injury.
Maybe we're talking about JD. Fuck. Maybe people were talking about JD. Yikes. Scroll up, Lisa. Scroll up. Bye, Grazer.
When you gave an estimate or you give an opinion about how long he's alive for, are you aware that there's certain tests that are done by neurosurgeons when people are suffering brain injuries, but there's an attempt to save them?
Sure.
Have you ever heard of a Guzman coma score?
Yeah.
Glasgow, you mean?
Pause.
Glasgow, but you've heard of Guzman?
That's it. Shorty, thank you, Mr. Meadhawk. Shorty, you're thinking of City on a Hill, a series about Boston corruption. It's very good. We might watch that in Kick at some point. It's very good. It's very good. It's very good. Okay, sorry. We're back on topic.
Have you ever heard of a Guzman coma score?
Glasgow, you mean?
No, but it's Glasgow, but you've heard of Guzman?
It's called Glasgow coma score.
Have you ever seen the assessment that a level 1 trauma center goes through when they're trying to save somebody with a brain injury?
I'm generally familiar with the emergency procedures to save somebody's life.
Have you ever read any statistical studies attempting to correlate the brain injury with the time somebody would live for?
I'm aware of that, and I see that in my practice of people who have survived brain injuries and died of something else. Then I can look at the brain and understand how the brain can heal or react to injuries.
And many people who suffer coup contre coup will go into a brain surgeon center, and many of them pass after time, don't they?
Now, every case is different.
Right. Some might live for an hour, hours, weeks, months, or survive the injury.
It depends on the case.
In this case, you don't have any objective criteria to identify the amount of time Mr. O'Keefe would have lived if he had the appropriate help. Isn't that fair to say?
I don't think it would have been effective because there were massive skull fractures to the base of the skull, and there are cases where the amount of force and energy applied to the head, causing skull fractures, breaking the neurons, causing the brain swelling, despite rapid medical treatment, those people cannot be saved. They can't effectively stop the brain swelling.
Many people can't be saved. Did you know that about 1/3 of them do get saved?
I don't know what you're talking about. 1/3. Everybody has different sorts of injuries. 1/3 of what?
With a clivus fracture, coup contre coup. Are you aware that 1/3 of those patients survive if they get the proper treatment?
It depends on the amount of force.
Okay. So are you aware that a study would show? Have you ever read a study by Isaac Wolfe on clivus fractures?
No.
Lol.
Have you read any studies on clivus fractures?
Clivus fractures? Yes, I understand what clivus fractures are. It's a part of the base of the skull.
Okay.
And
have you?
Go ahead.
Please.
Did you want to
No,
say?
you go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you read any studies that tell you with the proper treatment, despite these potentially catastrophic injuries, that 1/3 of patients can survive?
No, but that's not the case we have here.
And so in this case, I asked if you had any objective criteria. You don't have any objective criteria about the progress of Mr. O'Keefe's wound that can be a basis for you to conclude that he would have died in 15 minutes. Isn't that fair to say?
No, I understand what happens to the brain when it gets that sort of injury. I understand the time course and the physiology. I've seen hundreds of individuals who've had brain injuries. Some survive for a longer period, some die earlier, and it depends on the amount of force and the amount of brain swelling. And in Mr. O'Keefe's case, we had the massive skull fractures at the base of the brain and immediate swelling and subarachnoid and subdural. So he had a large force applied to his head, which caused the brain swelling and the herniate and the progression of the brainstem down through the foramen magnum that stopped the brain. It was a very forceful impact.
You examined his brain after you looked at photographs. You can't tell us objectively when his brain swell started.
It started immediately after impact.
And you can tell us what the progress of that brain swell was by looking at his postmortem photos.
By looking at the postmortem photos and the postmortem examination, I can tell the degree of force from the extensive skull fractures that were present.
What was the degree of force?
It was medium to large.
Well, that's a wide range. What do you mean? Quantify medium
I'll
to
strike
large,
the comment.
please.
Ask the question, Mr. Brennan.
What does medium to large mean?
Enough to cause a lot of fractures to the skull. He didn't just sit down and lie down.
If he sat down and lied down, he probably wouldn't have fractured his skull, correct?
That's obvious, yes.
Right. And so when you're telling us you can identify that he immediately died or died within 15 minutes, I'm asking you for objective criteria. For you to give that opinion, I'm asking you what objective information you have. And so you said that there was a large amount of force, correct?
Sure, but because there were massive skull fractures and there's a lot of energy transmitted to the brain, starts swelling immediately
How do you know this wasn't medium force and not large force?
because of the extensive number of skull fractures.
So are you saying it was medium or large force?
Medium to large.
Okay. How much force is that? Can you quantify it?
No.
It was yogurt.
What other objective criteria do you
Yogurt.
have?
It was yogurt because I forgot to eat breakfast because just me. Oh, wait. Looks like that makes no sense with no comment on the screen. It was yogurt, not toothpaste. Ew. Although I have got 25 flavors of toothpaste. Carry on.
To support your opinion that Mr. O'Keefe died within 15 minutes.
With my training and experience of seeing thousands of deceased people from head injuries and knowing some of their clinical course when they get immediate medical treatment, they don't survive.
But you would agree many do.
Depends on the case.
And in this case, you didn't have any opportunity to observe the progress of Mr. O'Keefe's injury that night, correct?
I'm going to allow that.
I wasn't there.
You
The body told me what happened to it.
You have no assessment of the development of his brain injury and how much time it took that night. Do you?
I do, from understanding the significant skull fractures and the swelling of the brain and the compression of the brainstem that all happened very rapidly because of the amount of force that caused all those skull fractures on the base of the skull that actually then hemorrhaged into his upper eyelids. That's a large amount of force.
Was gross edema found on his brain?
I think it was swollen, yes.
But was that a finding?
Yes.
Where did you see that finding?
Well, in order to have the herniation of the brainstem, the brain swells.
Where did you see that finding?
I can't answer that. I just know it from understanding, looking at the pathology.
So at the end result, at some point, Mr. O'Keefe had gross edema.
In order to get the brain stem hemorrhages, the only way you get that is because the brain has swelled, and there's no, after injury, tissue swells, and there's no place for the brain to go when it swells, except down into the natural hole in the bottom of the skull where the spinal cord goes down. So that's where the pressure goes. So that seeing the brainstem herniation tells you that the brain has swollen a lot.
Undoubtedly, but it doesn't tell you when it began to swell or the progress of that swell, does it?
Akasha.
I don't
Did you
know
lose
what
your
you mean.
phone in
You
the
see
river?
inevitably because of the
Yikes.
swelling, there's a suffocation, but when you see that, you don't know when the swelling began or how quickly it progressed. You can't tell that from an autopsy.
Yes, you can, because of the severity of the skull fractures. I know there was a lot of force, and that force applied causes you to go unconscious, then your brain swells. If there was
There's a
just
fly
like
in here.
one skull fracture, then
Sure.
that's a little bit different. But this was massive skull fractures on the base of the skull. There was a lot of force applied. So I know because there's a lot of force applied to cause the skull fractures, that the brain would swell rapidly.
You'd be unable to identify the rapidity of the swelling if you don't know the amount of force. Isn't that fair to say?
Well, I do know the amount of force because of these amount of skull fractures.
In what you know is, in your words, medium to large force.
Yes.
You've heard of periorbital ecchymosis?
Yes.
And that's sometimes called raccoon eyes.
Well, periorbital ecchymosis just means bleeding and bruising around the eyes.
And you saw the bruising around Mr. O'Keefe's eyes, didn't you, in the photograph?
Well, it wasn't bruising caused by blunt force trauma to the eye. It was bleeding in the upper eyelid because the plates above the eye and the base of the skull were fractured by the brain hitting it. So then that's a result of basilar skull fractures and not the application of force directly to the eye.
Would you agree it takes a few hours for the bleeding to accumulate in the person's eyes?
No, as soon as you break the skull bones and the heart's pumping, the blood comes out of those injuries. It starts to accumulate right away. It starts within minutes, you can see it.
So you would disagree with the suggestion that it takes at least 1 to 2 hours for that bleeding to occur in the eyes. You disagree with that?
I do disagree with that. It starts immediately.
Do you have any studies that you've relied on or literature or support for that?
I understand the physiology of what happens when you get those skull fractures and the density of the blood vessels. And if your heart is pumping, you pump the blood out those broken blood vessels into this small area above the eye. And it can happen within minutes.
Do you have any studies or literature to support that?
That's my training experience. I can't cite you a particular article at this time. I could certainly go look it up and bring it to you.
Okay. Let me ask you questions about the wounds to the back of Mr. O'Keefe's head.
Yes.
You see a linear abrasion?
Yes, vertical lines, yes.
Now, would you characterize this as a classic wound caused by falling backwards and landing on your head?
What do you mean a cloud?
You're in Struggle Street?
With Hank. He's just,
Okay, I have ideas. Let's go.
I'm zoning out. I'm finding it hard to concentrate. I know that she owns him and she schools him and she just bats him away a bit like, actually, no, she doesn't really. She kind of, I don't know, she school mums him, doesn't she? She's like the principal of the school.
She owns him for sure. Let me go to just a couple of little high points. How about that?
Yes, sounds good. Yes, Mr. Meathook, please don't. How do we do the watch party? Well, chat can tell you, but basically you need to get the app Kick, K-I-C-K, Mr. Meathook, and then you just follow one of the mods. Will it's my channel is called Miss Shorty Delight. Lol. There it is. Boom. Thanks, Steph. And then, so we're going to start on YouTube first, though, so we can talk about it further there. So there's a portal, a redirect for the end of this stream. God, there's a fly in here. And then, basically, Kick is like it's so much fun. There's animated emojis or emotes or whatever. So it's much easier to tag people. It's just great and no copyright. It's the wild, wild west. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. All right. So that.
The brain. Do you agree that a brain is very soft, consistent with, for example, tofu?
Oh, gross. What do you mean? It is soft.
Is it that soft? Is that the texture?
Well, it depends on what kind of tofu you have.
Okay.
Oh, she's so good. She's a
do
delight.
Do you think that the orbital could have broken when the break on the back of the head split the skull and then would cause the orbital break instead of the brain?
The orbital plate fractures, if you look at the base of the skull after you take the brain out, you can see the fractures go up from the back to the front and to the orbital. I don't remember.
I'm sorry?
I don't remember if I saw anything else.
Did you look, when you were doing your differential diagnosis, did you look at any evidence other than physical evidence? Did you look at any data evidence?
I don't know what you mean, data.
Like data you'd find on a cell phone?
No.
Did you look at any of the data evidence from the defendant's Lexus?
I must be honey,
other
not
than
vinegar,
looking at
because the flies are coming
contours
at me.
of the back
I
to
smell like
see
shit.
if it had impacted Mr. O'Keefe.
When you were doing differential diagnosis, did you look at any information that would tell you what the speed of that impact may have been or allegedly was?
Well, it didn't hit him, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. So you didn't care to know anything about the car, the data in the car, because you already formed your opinion?
It did not hit him, so it was not relevant to my opinion.
Is that a different way?
By looking at the body, I could tell that there was no evidence of impact with the vehicle. So whether the vehicle was going slow or fast is not relevant.
And so you didn't you didn't try to get any information about the speed of the vehicle? It was totally irrelevant to you?
Correct.
So good. So good.
Yes.
Mm.
So then he tries to like smear her with a bunch of crap, and she totally is like, able to bounce back and be like, nope, that's all BS.
Yeah, and she's not rattled at all by it, is she?
No, it's great. And actually, I'm just going to do one part from that because she says bullshit on the stand and it's beautiful. So I'm just going to go to that one last bit.
Shoe fly. I'm going to go muted and spray some fly spray while you play that. Hang on.
Okay.
Nobody called me. Printed.
Criticism that for over 17 hours officials were asking you to come to the scene and you refused?
It was untrue. It was printed in the newspaper. We looked up all the phone records and provided it to the newspapers and showed that nobody called me to go. I would have gone if I needed to. I had my investigator there. It was just bullshit. No, it was erroneous stuff.
Was there other criticisms?
So that was great the way she just handles herself so well.
She, you know what? I think I don't know how old she is, but given that she is a mature lady and she's got a long and illustrious career, and with all of her training experience, she's come across people like Hank before. In fact, she's come across Hank before. She knows his bullshit. I have a feeling that probably Dr. L, I can never say her name right, wouldn't bend to his skullduggery in the past and was far too ethical to take his requests for shenanigans previously, perhaps, that she says, yeah, nah, not going there, Hank. And I think so she knew what she was up against, going to be up against with him, because she knows what kind of a snaky weasel demon he is. So confident, right, Candy? So confident.
Yeah. So I think we can go past that for then on to the next witness.
Sounds good. Well, I mean, 10-10. Well, actually, you know what? I love it. I love him because his eyebrows say everything. His face has subtitles, and he also says the things too. It's great. It's great. I'm so here for it. I love it so much. I'm so excited. Come on now, free Karen Read. Come on, jury. I hope this weekend they're just letting things turn over in their brain, and they're, like, come on.
And I would honestly just skip day one with him, personally.
Yeah, it was just his. They were just killing time, really, weren't they? Was it because they were having to get his slides?
They had to do all their redacting.
Because no text on any of the slides. I mean, we can do blue paint experiment sort of collages, but no text, no ultimate conclusions. Okay.
Exactly. All right. Pulling up.
Laposata. Yes. My brain sees all the different spellings every time, and I hesitate every time I go to say it. Yes.
Okay. I'm pulling it up. I'm just gonna get to the timestamp really quick.
Easy peasy. Pray for what the fuck. Exactly. Hashtag pray for poor what the fuck. Nick, were you here yesterday when what the fuck came on for a moment? And I was like, oh my God. She told me it was like gargling. You told me it was like gargling like pieces of shards of tail light. and it sounds like it. You sound much better, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So goodness.
Getting a little bit better each day. Okay, here we go.
She's not supposed to be Akasha, but she's too bloody good. I'm going to work my beautiful producer and friend into the ground here. Dedication or dictate? Dedication or dictator? I don't know. We love the D round here.
She told me to rest. I
did. You need to sleep. Please, just sleep.
I will. Okay. We'll start here.
Pia says you sound sexy. There you go.
Dang, thank you.
Just you can't say anything when you wait. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Reevaluate if your hypothesis or what you think happened is actually true or not. So you have to continuously go through this process. And that's what experts do. That's how you perform an analysis. And that's what's important. You know, I have 3 kids. I have a 9-year-old who's actually.
What are you barking at?
Okay, sure.
Was there an example that you could use of sort of a real world example that you might want to use to explain some or part of the scientific?
BRB, I just
There is, yeah. I would like to explain an example of what's important with that. So I was going to say I have 3 kids, a 9-year-old who's actually turning 10 today. Happy birthday, Kai. And I have 2 older ones.
All right. We're gonna stop this. Another example.
Go ahead. Less editorializing.
Mine is all the personal.
I'm sorry, Ronnie.
Go ahead.
Details matter. Okay? Details in an investigation matter, and details matter here. You need details. You have to explain how things happen. Okay? You, as an expert, I can't come in and just say.
Sustained. It needs to be more question than answer.
Why do details matter?
Because your opinions have to be based on the facts and the evidence.
Why is that?
Because that's what determines your conclusions. I can't come in and say, I think.
What if you don't have all the details and facts?
If you don't have details, if you haven't performed a proper analysis, then you can't come to a conclusion that something happened. You can't depend just on your experience. You have to have the analysis, the evidence, and the details to come to a conclusion in a case.
How do you best get details to come to a conclusion in a case?
You need research. You need peer-reviewed articles. You need evidence. You perform testing. You have to demonstrate what you think happened is A, possible, and B, actually did occur. And in order to do that, you need hard evidence to demonstrate that that's what actually occurred in this case.
Do you get that through both lab testing and field testing?
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Can you get that in lab testing?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you get that in field testing?
You can get that in field testing as well, yes.
Are those integral to an analysis?
They are. If you don't have any other evidence, if you don't have research, if you don't have peer-reviewed articles showing or demonstrating what happens, you have to formulate, you have to get that evidence. And the way to do that is through field testing, if you have no other evidence and no other source of information to provide that type of evidence.
Let's go to the next slide. Did you undertake, and this is a placeholder, did you undertake the scientific method in this case?
I did, yes.
What was the hypothesis of the incident that you utilized in furthering your analysis?
So the first step, the first part of this event is contact between Mr. O'Keefe's arm and the vehicle.
Could you describe to the jurors what hypothesis you used based on your review of the information you got from ARCCA?
Sure. So the hypothesis that I looked at, ARCCA, their testing and report indicates that Mr. O'Keefe had his arm out at a 90-degree angle.
Sustained.
What do you see? By the way, where are these from? These 2 slides?
These 2 slides are from the PowerPoint presentation that ARCCA provided.
All right, so you didn't create these?
I did not, no, sir.
Describe the angle of the arm in the left photograph with the drinking glass in the hand.
So the angle of that arm is approximately 90 degrees. The other photographs in the PowerPoint demonstrate that for someone the same height as Mr. O'Keefe, the arm would be about 90 degrees with an individual standing erect. That's what was demonstrated in their PowerPoint.
Do you note anything in their PowerPoint, the ARCCA PowerPoint, related to the clothing worn in that left photograph?
Yes, they have the surrogates wearing a hoodie or a sweatshirt, which is the exact same type and brand that Mr. O'Keefe was found wearing at the time of the incident.
Did that play a part in your overall analysis? The fact that the individual, the surrogate, as you use the name, was adorned with the same type of sweatshirt that was found on Mr. O'Keefe?
It did, yes. I mean, that's one of the details that we have to look at. Details matter. So we look at the clothing that was worn and the evidence found.
Details matter. I love that.
That actual sweatshirt.
I'd like to stay with that for a second. Why is that important? Why would the clothing matter?
Well, because that tells us, that gives us evidence of what may or may not have occurred. Mr. O'Keefe was wearing the sweatshirt when the time of this alleged incident occurred. So if there is contact between his sweatshirt and that rear vehicle, the taillight from the Lexus, there would likely be evidence of that. And we have to look at that sweatshirt to see the condition of that sweatshirt, if there's evidence on that sweatshirt, and be able to pair that or match that up to with what happened on the vehicle.
Is that part of a normal biomechanical analysis to evaluate clothing of the body as well?
Absolutely, especially when you look at automobile pedestrian impacts.
Why?
Because clothing tells you, or can tell you, how the impact occurred, where contact occurred between an individual and the vehicle, what part of the vehicle, what part of the individual. So it either may or it may not, but it can give you very important clues about what may have occurred during the incident.
Is that part of the normal methodology that's utilized in the field of biomechanical analysis, especially as it relates to pedestrian motor vehicle incidents?
It absolutely is, yes. Look at the damage to the clothing. Look if you compare it up to the vehicle, to the ground, to other sources. It's another tool, another detail, and part of the evidence that allows you to try and determine what occurred.
Do you have experience in reviewing clothing of individuals that may have been involved in vehicle pedestrian incidents?
I do, yes.
How often has that played a part in your biomechanical analysis and the methodology that you employ?
It happens quite often when we look at automobile pedestrian impacts. That's really one of the steps that you need to do. You need to look at the clothing, you need to look at that evidence and see if that matches up with any other evidence in the case.
Would it be a proper methodology to just ignore the clothing in a vehicle pedestrian incident?
It would be, yes. I mean, it's really one of the first things you should do.
I'm sorry, my question was, would it be proper if you just wholly ignored it?
No, it would be improper. It would not be proper. It would be improper if you just ignored it.
Getting back to the slide at hand, and we're on slide, just to stay coordinated, is this slide 7?
No, Catherine.
That
thank
is
you for being
correct, yes.
here.
Okay. You've talked about the left photograph. What is the right, the short video?
So this short video is what I refer to as the paint transfer test that was performed by ARCCA. And what they did was take a surrogate the same approximate height and weight as Mr. O'Keefe and had him stand behind a subject, an exemplar Lexus, the same year, make, and model. And they put paint on the rear taillight cover on the fender. And then they backed it in to the surrogate's arm. And the reason for this is they attempted to show that where the paint contacts the arm, that it's the same area where the superficial abrasions were on Mr. O'Keefe's arm.
Did you utilize these photographs and videos from the ARCCA report in conducting and building the field testing and or the lab testing that you ultimately undertook?
I did, yes, sir.
Can we go to the next slide, please? What's depicted in this slide?
So this is from the ARCCA report. And the third conclusion is that the location and orientation of the lacerations on John O'Keefe's right forearm and arm are consistent with the geometry and the orientation of the right taillight on the Reed 2021 Lexus LX5.
Science project. Look at that. It's such a fucking hodgepodge of, like, where the layout? It must hurt your brain. What the fuck with your beautiful slides that you make?
It's horrifying. We're actually going to skip a bit to his opinion.
You actually do look really sexy.
Stop. Killing me. Okay. It's right about here.
Did you note anywhere in the ARCCA report a denotation of the number of abrasions, counting the number of abrasions on Mr. O'Keefe's arm?
There's no denotation, no indication that the number of abrasions were ever counted. No, sir.
Ultimately, based on your review of and all of your testing, did you come to an opinion or a conclusion as to whether or not the abrasions on Mr. O'Keefe's arm are consistent with striking the right rear taillight of the Lexus?
I did, yes.
And what is that conclusion?
That they're inconsistent with striking the taillight or being produced as a result of contact with the taillight.
Why did you come to that conclusion?
There's a number of reasons that I came to. First of all, the abrasions, the numbers don't correspond to the number of holes or...
Sustained.
Did you consider, without counting the number of abrasions and the number of holes, did you consider the abrasions?
I did, yes.
Did you consider the sweatshirt?
I did.
Was that an important part of your analysis?
It was, yes.
What else did you consider?
I considered that it was not possible to line up 36 different abrasions with
So I'm going to strike that answer, ask it differently.
Your Honor, if you could finish his answer. He was about to say contact with the taillight.
Yep, so ask it differently, Mr. Johnson.
Sure. What did the 36 abrasions, conservatively, and their interaction with the taillight have to do with your ultimate opinion and conclusion?
Well, that you have to, if those abrasions came from contact with the taillight, you have to be able to correlate them and line them up with 36 different contacts from the taillight.
And ultimately, based on your understanding of ARCCA's review and the photographs that you saw, you were presuming, based on ARCCA's testing, that Mr. O'Keefe was wearing that hoodie. Is that correct?
Yeah. Sustained.
What was the condition? Let me ask it this way. There's a photograph in the ARCCA report that we're looking at with blue paint on the arm, right?
Correct.
Is that your understanding, or did you test that Mr. O'Keefe could have been hit wearing short sleeves?
No.
What did you test? What was your presumption and assumption in your testing?
That he was wearing the hoodie that was found on him at the time.
With the 9 holes in the right sleeve?
With the 9 holes in the right sleeve.
What's the form of the question, Mr. Jackson?
Sure. Let's go to the next slide, please. What is this?
These are the top two and bottom right slide are from the aperture PowerPoint.
How did you interpret the two photographs on the right, the parallel lines and the red lines in that slide?
The parallel lines correspond to an area of the fractured tail light, and then the red dotted line corresponds to an area of abrasions on Mr. O'Keefe's upper arm, and there's a red arrow pointing to part of the fractured tail light.
Can we go to the next slide, please? What are we looking at in this slide?
Again, this is the paint test. This is the only test that was conducted by Aperture to look at the tail light and the arm in this case, and the interaction between the two.
Did you note whether in all of Aperture's data that you reviewed, whether or not there was any measurements to determine whether the abrasions were consistent with contact with Alexis?
I did. There were no measurements at all taken with respect to that test. No measurements with respect to where the contact happened on the car or on the arm itself. There was no indication of where that blue paint extended on the surrogate's arm, say from the wrist up to where the laceration or the abrasions would have occurred.
Is that important?
It's very important.
Why?
Because you can't say that the area where the blue paint is corresponds to the area of the abrasions if you don't take measurements. If you just eyeball it, all you can say is by eyeballing it, it looks approximately the same. But that's not scientific. You can't come to an actual conclusion that where that paint covers the arm is where those abrasions actually were. They could lie outside, they could lie forward, they could lie above that painted area. You can't say with any scientific certainty that that area of paint corresponds to where the abrasions are.
In this motion video and the still photograph to the left in slide 24, is that what we're on, 24?
We are. Yes, sir.
What did you note with regard to the positioning of the surrogate's arm? I think it's Mr. Welcher. As it relates to the taillight and the back of the SUV.
Yes, the positioning of the arm in the photographs as well as the one test that was performed, the arm is approximately 90 degrees, level in line with the rear tail light of the vehicle.
Did you seek to do any testing approximating the positioning of the arm as you saw it, as you interpreted it in the Aperture data?
I did, yes, sir.
What were you seeking to determine when you did your testing?
Well, if we want to determine whether the orientation and the position of the abrasions on the arm correspond to the tail light, you have to have the arm in the position that you claim it struck the tail light, and then look at the abrasions. Because if you're looking at orientation and the direction of the abrasions, you can't look at how they exist with the arm. The only pictures of the arm of the abrasions are with Mr. O'Keefe's arm extended. But that's not how he would have had it, according to the test. It would have been at a 90-degree angle.
Dr. Rentschler, were there any peer-reviewed articles cited in connection?
Interesting, G. Fuck, I'm going to practice your name, man. How funny was it that Joe Paul was vindicated with a pirouette through Dr. Welcher and their bullshit? It's like, it's the same as we thought Trooper Paul and Lally were just like these embarrassing imbeciles. I mean, they are. That we could not stand, right? Like, cringe. And then along came Hank Brennan and Dud Welcher, and here we are wishing for Trooper Paul and Lally. Very interesting. And honestly, the pirouette was just as believable as the paint thing. Really? Wow. Good point. Hilarious. You can't make this shit up, man.
With Aperture's paint transfer test?
I did not see, I was not provided a single peer-reviewed article with respect to the paint test or any indication of any test or article looking at arm contact with a vehicle or a taillight cover.
Can we go to slide 25? What are we looking at in this slide?
So in this slide, the picture on the far left is the photographs provided from the autopsy in hospital with Mr. O'Keefe's right arm fully extended. Again, those are the only photographs we have.
What about the photograph in the middle?
Gosh, I wish I watched this. I wish I watched this instead of just listen. This is revelatory for me.
Isn't this awesome? This is like my favorite thing. I can't believe that this isn't like, I feel like this shows so much. It shows what everybody's been trying to say about how that test does nothing. I love it so much. Anyways, that's why I paused.
And then in AJ's closing arguments, when he said about did he use the word ridiculous? Blue paint exercise. I said ridiculous. Like he was so scathing. I was so here for it. So good. So good. Yeah, these photos are great. And for 50K, man. For 50K.
Right. Exactly.
middle and to the far right?
In the middle and the far right, what I did was actually take that arm and then rotate the forearm to put it in a position that it would be in, as demonstrated by the paint test, with the arm at approximately 90 degrees.
What was the import of this this undertaking?
Well, if you look at the paint test and the way the arm's at 90 degrees and having the car come and essentially contact and push the arm out of the way, that's going to give you or tell you the directionality or the direction of the abrasions. Because if you have your arm at a right angle, and the vehicle comes and pushes and slides against it on that forearm, you would expect those abrasions to be horizontal, to be in line with that forearm.
Are they?
They're not. You can see some of them are vertical, some of them are angled, some of them it's hard to tell what the directionality is. But if your arm, again, is being struck and pushed this way, as it's pushed and as the car goes by, if this would occur in this manner, you would expect those abrasions to be horizontal in the direction that the vehicle is actually traveling.
When you say horizontal, do you mean horizontal from the elbow to the wrist?
Correct, or parallel, yes, with the forearm.
Can we go to slide 26, please?
Furrows. Lexus
This is yet again the same video that we saw earlier?
That is correct. This is the paint test video, yes.
And what has to happen in order for the paint in this test to reach the upper forearm?
Well, in this case, to reach the upper forearm, there has to be contact between the forearm and the taillight cover.
Can we go to the next slide, please?
Oh,
What is the slide
yes.
showing?
Again, this shows, you can see on the right, there's, I added.
I haven't seen any of these.
It's incredible, right? Like, it's just so perfect. I'm so glad that they did this.
You can even see the little paw with the circles. You can even see the little paw, it's very good.
Yes.
I really must try to watch more than just listen. It's hard with the time difference and shit.
Yeah.
And work. Peasant work.
Added arrows to kind of show the directionality of the different abrasions. And on the forearm, they simply do not line up with the type of kinematics or the type of motion shown in the paint test. Again, of the arm getting pushed out of the way and the car traveling past. If there were
The jury must have been
abrasions
riveted.
from the fractured glass as it moves along, again, it would be lengthwise parallel to the forearm.
If the arm was positioned as it was indicated in the paint test done by ARCCA, would you expect to see this pattern of injuries on Mr. O'Keefe's arm if, in fact, it contacted the taillight and if, in fact, it was abraded based on the taillight?
You would not. You can't get, for instance, horizontal abrasions on the upper arm and somehow get vertical and angled abrasions on the forearm. Like the kinematics don't work out to actually produce those types of injuries.
Can we go to the next slide, please? What are we looking at in this slide?
So again, this is the paint transfer test.
It's kind of
and
cool.
It demonstrates there were no measurements taken, so we don't know the exact size or location of that paint or the lacerations. And you can see the photograph on the right basically shows that after doing the test, a picture of the right arm was put next to it and basically eyeballed to say,
Pause, please,
it's the
Ms. What
same.
the
Well,
fuck?
it's only-
Sorry, it's worth the pause. Micah just told Princey, but I'm going to tell the world. I registered to take the LSAT in August today. Yay! Very good thing. That's not far away, man. Get on the books. All right, let's keep going.
approximately the same area.
So I'm going to strike that. So next question.
Do you see any measurements, any tape measures, any laser measuring equipment, anything like that in that right photograph?
Nothing, no types of measurements whatsoever.
Can we go to the next slide, please? This is on the left, the same video that we've seen several times, correct?
That's correct.
What are we looking at on the photograph on the right?
So on the right, it is a video of this test taken from the side of the vehicle.
Did you notice anything of note in this angle of the paint transfer test?
I did. I slowed this video down. And so as you can see, as it starts out, and you'll see this, the vehicle starts to slowly back. So there was no photograph showing the position of the arm in the back of the car. The video is from the side, and the top video, you can't tell where the arm is positioned on the against the tailgate. But whatever position it's at, you can see as the car backs up here, look at the elbow and the upper arm. If the car backed directly in this direction, there would be no contact with that elbow or the upper arm. And remember, this test is to show where the paint would transfer and if that correlates to the lacerations.
You mean, before you start the video, when you say there would be no contact with the elbow or the upper arm, you mean the biceps area and from the elbow up?
That's correct.
Is that based on the photograph on the right and the positioning of the surrogate?
Exactly. You can see right now if the car just backed directly straight back, it would not contact the elbow or the upper arm.
Before you play the video, what did you note when the car, from the angle to the right of the video on the right, what did you note as the car, just before the car starts to make contact with the surrogate? What did you note?
So in order to get that pattern on the arm, right as the car contacts the arm, the surrogate pushes his elbow forward, leans into the car against the light, and then rolls off.
Can you play that for us?
Yes, he does. Also, why did he take the hoodie off, idiot? With the cap on, you fucking tool bag.
Did you see what you were describing in that video?
I did, and I can slow it down. So you can see, even at this point, as the car approaches, it would not contact the elbow or the biceps. So as it comes in, watch the elbow all of a sudden shoot in. Surrogate turns his arm in and then leans against the light cover. So this is not indicative of someone standing there and having a car back into their arm. In order to get that pattern of pain on the arm, someone would have to stand there, and as the car approached and contacted their arm, they would have to actually push their arm forward and lean into it to get that pain pattern.
Is that, in your view?
Ms. What the fuck? I think it was Runkle, but I could be wrong because all the Lord tubers. Somebody suggested, yes, it was Runkle, that he would have liked to, had Dud Squelcher come back for the rebuttal, he would have liked to see Dud Welcher recreate that blue paint exercise, but instead of a complete coating of the tail light in the grease paint, also pink, not blue, to have him do dots of paint on there and see whether he could get anything like rather than the full coverage of stamping, whether he could get any similarities in Officer John O'Keefe's abrasions or superficial stuff, to see whether he could replicate it. I mean, he wouldn't have been able to, but that would have been a better experiment. He just went with the most basic, right?
Yeah, I remember seeing that too. I think it was Runkle. But yeah, it was like to be able to do like the lines, basically.
Yeah. And to prove actually, because remember how Welcher was like, no, of course those the patterns are representative of having the arm bent, holding the cocktail glass, the rocks glass, but he just gaslit the fuck out of us. It took my brain still can't get around, get my head around. Although those 3D images did absolutely help, but had he done that, he could have done it with a straight arm. He could have done it with the bent arm. Obviously, this wasn't scientific, but interesting. Yeah, it was Runkle.
Proper scientific testing system. Let's move to the next slide, please. What is this?
And so this is that same event, and you can see I slowed it down even more just so you can see the actual movement of the elbow and the upper arm to get that pattern.
Very good, Jody.
Thank you. Can we move to the next slide, please? This is slide 30. And let's go to 31.
Yeah, this is 31.
I'm sorry, 31.
Oh, yikes. You're making it hard for me, chat. How can I choose a song when they're all even? More voters, it's all even. Split, a four-way split on the song choice.
The paint transfer test, all it can show is the approximate of where the arm was covered in paint as the surrogate jammed his elbow in and rolled against the taillight cover. So it tells us nothing about what may have actually occurred, how the lacerations were actually, or the abrasions were produced. It doesn't talk about the kinematics of the arm that actually caused those abrasions. All it does is just say, under this specific condition, if someone was to stand there and then shoot your elbow forward and lean in, you would get paint on this approximate part of the arm, because we don't even have any measurements for it. That's the only thing that test demonstrates, and that's the only test that was conducted to look at the interaction between the arm and the Lexus in this case.
Did you reach any opinions and conclusions regarding whether the physical evidence is consistent or inconsistent with the injuries to Mr. O'Keefe's right arm?
I did, yes.
And what's the basis?
The basis is looking at the number of lacerations, or the number of abrasions on the arm, as well as the orientation and direction of those abrasions. And they don't correspond to how the arm would interact with the vehicle if it was at a right angle and struck by the rear of that vehicle.
Boom.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, Doctor?
Not engineering certainty?
Can we move to the next slide, please?
Biomechanist certainty?
Think about that. What happens is you're holding a glass. It exposes forward and then deposited on the ground. Average running speed is like 4 to 6 miles an hour. Even if this SUV is going 10 miles an hour, it shattered, the lights fracture, they're dispersed on the ground, and then Mr. O'Keefe somehow ends up to his point of rest. but you wouldn't find the fragments on him because they've already been pushed forward, come to rest before he even has a chance to get to where they find him.
Let's go to the next slide, please. What is this slide showing?
So this is just frames taken from that.
Geraldine, I have never watched Rokita, just because when I started watching LordTube stuff, I had other stuff, other LordTubers to watch, and I feel like it seems like it's probably quite a toxic place. Having said that, shout out Rokita for sharing my The Fix is in on the Twitters yesterday. Thanks. It got more eyes on the song, and then the comments were a little bit like people were like, and they were trashing Kurt and thinking that Kurt wrote it and saying that AI music is shit, and that one person said, nah, it took too long, drags, blah blah blah, sit down weasel demon. I'm like, well, at least they've listened to the song. So all that to say, CEG everything I just said. I mean, everybody deserves a second chance, but not when you seem
That
to
actual video
be
showing
dragging out the drama. That's all. I think it feels like there's continued drama being dragged, and I know from personal experience how it feels to have my name besmirched on the internet for no reason at all. And not that he's from what I understand, the bare basics of that is that he fucked up and he could have owned it, and I think he did own it, but then he's gone on to be a bit dramatic and kept going with all the beef, and like that's not my jam at all. So that
the interaction from the top left, then you go down to the bottom left, and then the top right and the bottom right just shows you the progression of the contact and the movement of the arm.
Is the bottom left frame the same frame that you stalled on just a second ago at my request, showing the deformation of his right arm?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And is that just a close-up of the same?
That's just a close-up of the same, yes.
Okay, next slide. And is that the final close-up of the arm after it's been deflected out of the way?
That's correct, yes.
Does this also illustrate what you just described in terms of the trajectory of the broken tail-like fragments?
It does, yes, sir.
Do you see any defect at all in the right sleeve of that hoodie?
There is no defect in that right sleeve of the dummy.
Was the dummy's sleeve examined following this test? Closely examined up close rather than just photographed?
It was examined and photographed, yes, sir.
Was there any defect in that right sleeve at all?
No defects at all were noted in that sleeve. No.
Next slide, please. What are we seeing here?
This shows some of the photographs taken of the sleeve and the arm to show that there's no defects whatsoever. And it shows the damage to the Lexus. And again, at 24 miles an hour, not only do you get damage to the taillight on the fender there, but you also get damage to the taillight on the liftgate.
Was there any damage on the taillight of the liftgate in the subject SUV?
There was not, no.
Next slide, please. What are we looking at in this video?
And so this was 29 miles an hour with a suspended hybrid 3 arm.
Was the arm in the relative orientation that you saw depicted in the paint transfer test by ARCCA?
It was, and in fact, in this one, there's actually contact. We moved it in so that you would get contact with the elbow and the upper arm as well. So it's in the position after Dr. Welcher moves his elbow in and rolls his shoulder into the taillight cover. We evaluated that position with this test.
And do you see any damage to the liftgate taillight based on this test?
There's extensive damage at this speed, yes.
What about the damage to what damage would you expect to see to the arm itself at this speed and in its orientation?
Yeah, at this speed, I mean, we're talking 4,000 pounds of force on the forearm. And with the hands, 1,400 to probably 3,000 pounds. I mean, well above levels where you would get fractures.
Pause for a sec, please, Ms. What the fuck? I'm going to say, of all the defense witnesses that I would, probably DeSogra. Wow. Glorious. But all of them. Not that we're worrying about people's looks, but maybe we are a little bit. Life artist. Cooking. Cook on. So yes, Dr. Rentschler definitely would, Holly. Buster. You're so
good. What are we looking at in this slide?
This was study where they used an impactor and they contacted the dorsal or top part of cadaver hands, and they looked at the force that was exerted, and they looked at how many fractures were produced as a result of that.
Did you review scientific literature regarding hand injuries under this sort of impact loading? Is this representative of that?
It is, yes.
Next slide, please. What is this?
So this shows the position, and this is taken directly from the aperture paint test. You can see the position that Dr. Welcher had his hand against the tailgate right at the time of impact, and you can see that corresponds, the contact areas correspond to the areas of the hand that were actually tested in this case.
Next slide, please. What is this showing?
So this shows the forces produced during the test as well as the forces produced during our testing. And maybe the next slide here actually better. If you look at the knuckles, which are the blue middle region, and then the metacarpal bones, which are the lower one. So for the metacarpal phalangeal joint, the knuckles, on average, it took 397 pounds of force to fracture that joint. Well, the 15-mile-an-hour test produced a minimum of 483 pounds.
Great.
And more realistically, that's just with the hand weight. There's going to be more weight because it's attached to the wrist. More realistically, it's twice that, so it's around 900 pounds of force. But what these tests show is that the force produced on the hand, as represented by the PowerPoint from aperture, even at 15 miles an hour and likely below that, you would expect to get fracture of the hand bones, of the knuckles, metacarpal and phalangeal joints, and the metacarpal bones if you contacted the rear of that vehicle at that speed.
Did you see any indication in the X-rays?
Surprisingly, Princey, I can do that. Surprisingly, I can pull up clips. I can.
Mr. O'Keefe's hand was damaged in such a way that you would expect.
There were no indications whatsoever of that, no, sir.
Next slide, please. What are we looking at in this slide?
This was a test where they actually looked at the force on the elbow. So this is a direct longitudinal force against the elbow. Now, there's no indication of exactly the paint test has the arm horizontal, but there's no indication, there's evidence of whether maybe it would be angled or if it's straight horizontal. But even if your arm's angled a little bit at the point of impact, the forces again on the right are what we determined from our testing, and those are minimum. Again, that's just with the forearm. If you include the entire arm, it's about twice that. So even at 10 miles an hour, you're going to have 600 to 1,200 pounds of force acting on the arm.
Is that enough to break it?
That's enough. If you strike the elbow, that's more than enough to actually fracture the different bones of the elbow.
If an arm was hit at that speed with those forces, would you expect the X-rays to show no trauma, no broken bones, no fractures, no hairline fractures?
I would not expect that, no, sir.
Next slide, please. What are we looking at in terms of this slide?
So these are just more articles that I referenced, and they look at impact force on the forearm, so the ulna and the radius. It takes, just to have a transverse blow right against the bone, it takes about 1,100 to 1,200 pounds of force to cause a fracture. We're at that level already at a 10-mile-an-hour impact.
What about a 24-mile-an-hour impact?
24, we're at 1,400 to 2,800 pounds.
Sorry. Geraldine says Hank actually looks like a Bond villain. I retweeted someone's tweet that said Hank Brennan looks like seems like the guy that would have been the one prosecuting in the Salem witch trials. I'm like, bingo, isn't he? He's that guy. He's that guy. He was that guy. He is that guy. Tony's back. Huzzah! Hi, Tony. Good to see you. Yes, Bond villain / cartoon character, caricature, and a deceitful weasel. Sit down, weasel demon.
Medical records of John O'Keefe, including the autopsy records, all of the autopsy records, the X-rays, and the hospital records. Any indication that John O'Keefe was struck center of mass?
None whatsoever. No indication at all that he was struck center of mass.
Do you have an opinion or conclusion to reasonably exact scientific certainty about whether he was struck center of mass?
I do.
And what is that opinion?
I don't believe that he was. The evidence indicates that he was not. If he was struck center of mass, imagine that. You're getting hit at the pelvis. You're getting hit on the thigh. You're getting hit at the knee. And then the body's being propelled forward. Your arm would get pushed into your body, into your ribs, into your torso. You would have very significant and substantial loading to your body, initially the right side of your body, as that impact occurred, and there's no evidence whatsoever that occurred.
Switching to a glancing blow, a blow of just the arm, not the center of mass, but just the arm. Do you hold an opinion and a conclusion as to whether or not a glancing blow or a blow to the arm only would propel Mr. O'Keefe 7, 8, or 10 feet perpendicular to the line of travel of the vehicle?
I do.
What is that?
It would not be possible. Our testing demonstrates that. Peer-reviewed articles demonstrate that. I've seen no evidence anywhere in this case.
Can you see? Wait, hang on. I'll just change this screen for a second. Oh my God, the glare. The glare, not the glarer. Oh, I can't make it. It's too much. Wait, there we go. Hey. All right, back to it.
That would suggest or even indicate that if you get a glancing blow or a side swipe blow, that somehow would produce enough force to push you 8 to 10 feet into the yard. I don't believe it's possible. I've seen no research that would indicate that would occur.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
I do, yes.
Can we move to the next slide, please?
Biomechanics.
Slide. Let's keep going. Okay. What are we looking at in this slide?
So this slide, it's a paper that describes how to evaluate vehicle pedestrian impacts and how someone moves in the projection of that body.
Was there lettuce?
Seek to analyze a fulsome understanding of whether it was possible that Mr. O'Keefe was hit on his lower extremities.
I did, yes.
Why did you do that? Why was that important?
Well, because with automobile pedestrian impacts, the lower extremity, your legs, your ankles, your knees, that's the most injured part of the body during autoped impacts. So if he's going to be impacted at that speed, especially center of mass, there's likely going to be injuries to his leg, to his knee. The bumper lines up with the knee. That's one of the most commonly injured parts, is the bumper pushes into the knee, fractures the tibia, the fibula, or damages the knee joint.
Did John O'Keefe suffer any injuries to his lower extremities suggestive of a vehicle impact?
No, I believe the only injury was a 0.5 centimeter abrasion on the outside of the right knee.
Could Mr. O'Keefe have suffered
But that was from the bumper.
0.5 centimeter abrasion on the outside of his right knee by being struck by an SUV at 24 miles an hour?
I don't believe so. I don't see how those kinematics would work.
Sister. Bruised? Yeah, nah.
Do you
With
have an
no
opinion
bruise?
as to whether or not that injury was from being struck by an SUV at 24 miles an hour or somewhere around 24 miles an hour?
I do.
What is that opinion?
I do not believe that injury is consistent with being struck by an SUV at approximately 24 miles an hour.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
I do, yes.
Can we move to slide?
Oh, I love Karen.
Yeah,
She's
just
so
moving
good.
on.
70, Mr. Jackson?
Thank you.
Ask
I wish my eyes were better. Thank you. Okay, what are we looking at in slide? This is slide 7. Yes. What are we looking at in slide 70, Dr. Rentschler?
So this was the one article that was referenced in the ARCCA report with respect to automobile pedestrian impacts. And there was a chart from there that was referenced in the PowerPoint that indicates the head's the most commonly injured body region in pedestrian impacts.
And what significance did that reference have in your analysis?
Well, that's not accurate. This article was written in 1979. And the first modern SUV, the Jeep Cherokee, wasn't manufactured until 1984. So this is an article that's 46 years old that doesn't actually relate to this type of an impact. And that's the only peer-reviewed reference with respect to automobile pedestrian impacts that was cited in the entire ARCCA report.
Can we move to slide 71? Do you recognize what's depicted in this slide?
I do, yes.
What is depicted here?
So this was a hybrid. This is the 50th percentile hybrid 3, the same dummy that we utilize. And Dr. Welcher performed a test where
Can I interrupt you?
Sure.
So this ATD, anthropomorphic test device, was not a 95th percentile test device?
It was not, no.
The 50%?
It was a 50th percentile, yes.
Is that the same exact, not the same exact, it's same exact sized ATD that ARCCA utilized in all of its testing?
It was, yes.
Okay.
And to get the forces on the head, Dr. Welcher scaled the acceleration results based on the weight, which is what I was talking about yesterday. You scale the results from the 50th percentile. That's exactly what Dr. Welcher did in this case.
Is that an appropriate way to adjust for the size of an ATD?
It absolutely is, yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So this test, what he did, he took a 50th percentile dummy, stood it up, and then let it drop backwards and strike its head on a concrete surface.
OnlyFans winning. OnlyFans.
Next slide, please.
By 2%.
By the way, Dr. Rentschler, did
you vote
last
twice,
slide
Colors?
include a video?
I believe it did, yes.
Can we go back?
I'm not sure it's on this slide, though. That's just a screenshot.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to that slide for just a second. I thought this might be the video of it.
No.
So in the lower portion of the center of the screen, you see Dr. Welcher holding the ATD. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you review a video of what happened next? This is not the video, but did you review the video?
I did, yes.
Describe for the jurors, since we don't have access to the video. What did you see happen from this point forward?
So Dr. Welcher releases the dummy, and the dummy just falls rigidly backwards, almost like a tree, and impacts the concrete.
Can we jump from your PowerPoint to a video that I have and ask you if you recognize it with court's permission?
Is the video in evidence?
It's in Dr. Welcher's PowerPoint.
Before the jury was it in?
The kinematic support.
I'm going to see you inside about just a minute.
All right, Tony. Maybe I'll vote. Fuck it up.
May I continue?
Yes.
I have to vote with my alt
Dr. Welcher,
account.
based on your review of everything, did I do that again? My goodness.
Yikes.
This is Dr. Welcher in
Later,
the video.
Jody.
Correct? All right, I was staring at that. I apologize. Dr. Rentschler, based on your review of the video in which Dr. Welcher is positioned, as well as the drop test that you saw, as well as the discussion of being the body placement, where you discussed the body placement, do you have an opinion as to whether or not the testing that you reviewed from Aperture is consistent or inconsistent with John O'Keefe being struck by the vehicle propelled perpendicular backward, say 7 to 10 feet, and falling straight back onto a hard surface, as depicted in the drop test.
The testing's inconsistent with those types of kinematics or that type of scenario.
On what do you base that opinion, sir?
That's based on the testing that was performed, the evidence available in this case, and the kinematics of how somebody would move post-impact after being struck by an SUV.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
I do, yes.
Can we go to the next slide, please? May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Finally, Dr. Rentschler, do you have an opinion, or did you reach a conclusion whether the biomechanical evidence in this matter is consistent or inconsistent with Mr. O'Keefe's right arm being impacted by the subject 2021 Lexus 570, resulting in a backward fall leading to the head injuries that he suffered?
I did, yes.
And what is that opinion?
My opinion is that the evidence is inconsistent with Mr. O'Keefe being struck on the right arm by the SUV and then moving laterally into the yard and falling backward onto.
And do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
I do, yes, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have. Ron.
Okay. Okay, I'm closing the poll. Before we Busty, you're so strong. My goodness, for a Suki boy, he's so strong. OnlyFan. It's bloody good. It's bloody good. Now I've got to go to the bathroom, so I'll do
Now
that.
some music. The Supreme Leader decrees it.
Yours Karen's innocent. OnlyFan is outraged till the end.
It's kind of good, that one, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know. Ms. What the fuck? Thank you so much for coffees. Good Lord, woman. Do not send me any money. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. But she says, putting the buy me a coffee QR code back up in the top corner. Grifter? What? 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 Thank you. You're in the drawer, girl. All right. Are you going, Shandwan? Bye, Nana Kath and Ms. Shandwan. Now, what do we got? We got stuff. Have we got Mr. Wrench? Doctor. Oh, my sir, I'm so sorry. Wait, where? I just fucked you up hard.
Oh, that's what she said.
I miss our no lube emoji, but we we have a finite number and it had to go, sadly.
So, like, I have a lot of timestamps for this because he just was so bad with the cross, and Rentschler like kicked his butt. But if we don't want to listen to Hanky, we can totally just like watch a couple of clips. I only pulled like 2 extra clips if you want to just do that.
Yeah, I reckon. And even time is of the essence. Otherwise, we'll be watching The Departed into the next century. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I reckon. We all saw it. It's great to relive it, but also, Hank, I don't know.
Fair. Okay, let me pull the first one up.
Sure, that's what she said also. Shine is in my head, is the one in my head.
I was
all
waiting
the
for my
time,
ride.
Sorry. And also, while I think of it, did you all like how I don't know if you were here early, I've worked out how to do a trailer at the start. So I'm going to add a Miss Shorty music song at the start of various ones at the start of every stream, just to give you something while you're waiting for me to be on time, which is never going to happen. So, okay, we get some Peter Tragos again. Lovely.
And to get back to the airport, they had to take other people. And so they were having a lunch afterwards and they said, come have a sandwich and then your ride will take you to the airport. So I went and I had a ham sandwich.
Had a ham sandwich. Did you testify at some point that after you had
that repeating of you had a ham sandwich, like sarcastically mocking witnesses? People may think it's funny online. People may think it's cool. Even if Alan Jackson did it, you guys might be like, you just shouldn't do that. And you know that from day one that you shouldn't do it. And that's important. Knowingly, intentionally saying things in open court that you know you shouldn't say. They're inappropriate and inadmissible. That's where lawyers can really get in trouble. Peter, I'm just coming in, but the thing
Holly.
all day, you might have answered this before, but can Canoni reprimand Brennan for speaking the way he did to Jackson? I mean, not just how he spoke to Jackson, but how he is questioning these witnesses. Absolutely, she could and should admonish him. Tell him if it happens again, there will be sanctions. If it happens again, I will admonish you in front of the jury. She should definitely do it first at sidebar or outside the presence of the jury. But if he keeps doing it, which he did after probably private admonishment, she needs to do it publicly and there needs to be more teeth to it. He does it over and over again. And it's not even about like respect for the witness or candor or being nice or a nice guy or a mean guy. It's nothing to do with that. It's what's happening in front of the jury that could be prejudicial. And that is not relevant and should not come in at trial. That's the most important thing that's protected for the criminal defendant. And at some point, they're going to have an argument that is intentional prosecutorial misconduct. I'll just tell you right now. I'm trying to give Brennan every benefit of the doubt. I always have. Ashley asked me a question of, giving a grade to each side this trial, which I will. My grade would have been probably shockingly high to a lot of you after the Commonwealth's case in chief. But it has continued to drop after this cross-examination, and I would absolutely argue this is prosecutorial misconduct if I was the defense attorney. This would piss me off to no end if Hank Brennan continuously questioned witnesses this way when he knows he shouldn't be able to. He knows he shouldn't do it like that. Canoni knows it because she sustains all these objections and strikes all those comments. But at some point, when you know it's coming, and he's done it for 31 days, there's got to be more.
Add something to eat.
So that was the first one.
In a real world, in a really judicious county, that would happen. Like Colors said earlier, all this bullshit wouldn't stand in any other court. That none of it, let alone getting to the Xrays and the hoodie bullshit pulled by Hank. So,
Right. Okay. And then this is the other one.
you sexy bitch.
I did not know, sir.
You had talked quite a bit about Dr. Welcher's test with the pink, so I want to ask you some questions about that. Were you ever under the impression that Mr. Welcher, you can take that down, please. Were you ever under the impression that Dr. Welcher was trying to reenact the actual collision when he did that blue test?
I don't allow it.
Well, that was the only test he performed, and he referenced that test for his opinion that the position and orientation of the lacerations are consistent with the tail light cover. So if that test was not intended to signify or demonstrate the position of the arm, he has no evidence to say the position and orientation of the arm in the lacerations, which are abrasions, are consistent with the tail light cover. That's the only test he did. So if it doesn't represent that, it's really meaningless.
He's like, are you saying your own expert's test is actually just hot garbage? Because I'll agree with you. But like, then what are you doing here, Brennan? What are you doing at all?
In his analysis and conclusions.
Now that you've shared your opinions, can I get back to my question?
Sustained. So,
Oh.
Mr. Jackson, Mr. Brent, I'm going to see counsel at sidebar.
He's like, I'm asking for an admonishment. Yell at him, Judge. You can't just let him get away with this. Yell at him. Like, get in there. Have some grave concerns. Don't you have any grave concerns about this? And spoiler alert, I don't think we're going to see any grave.
I've tried so many times. I wish it's so hard because they all talk over the top of each other in that section. I wish that I could pass it out to hear exactly, because my brain just goes, it kind of hears it, and then my brain goes, puts them all back in together. Wild. Alan Jackson going, fuck, motherfucker. Can you admonish him? I know he says that.
Yeah. That was it for that clip. Let me go back to this. And that takes us to the last day of the normal week, which was the charge conference, where we have really just the kind of the overview is we have the motion for required findings that Yanetti did.
Yeah, we're watching Eddie.
You want to do that? Okay.
Yeah. And I thought we might play also Grace, DreamFeedMedia's open letter to Mrs. O'Keefe. I haven't watched / listened to it, but I believe it's music. I believe I'll cry.
Okay.
So,
and then we have the super secret slide after that.
Oh, yes, the slide. It's so exciting.
Okay, let me get to Yanetti's thing.
I don't think there will be either, Rachel. I think that he has absolute immunity, as they all do. Any officers of the court? I will, G.
So,
thank you.
No, we can do that now. So now that my ruling is on this, evidence is closed. Evidence is closed as it was yesterday. So go ahead on your required finding argument. Sure.
Sure.
And this is not lengthy, Judge, 5 or 10 minutes.
Take your time.
Thank you. We are renewing our motion for required finding of not guilty at the close of all the evidence, and in so doing, Your Honor, we're incorporating our oral argument in support of this motion that we made at the close of the Commonwealth's case. At that juncture, Your Honor, the Commonwealth had produced no witnesses to testify that John O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with his having been hit by a motor vehicle, and if he was not hit by a motor vehicle, none of these 3 indictments may stand.
Right.
The Commonwealth, we believe, at that time fell woefully short of proving their case. Now that the defense has put on a case, the Commonwealth's case has been further weakened, such that none of these charges can stand. Nearly every witness, Your Honor, we have called, we would submit, has destroyed the Commonwealth's theory of the case. Dr. Russell testified for the defense. She's a leading expert on dog bite wound pattern recognition in the country, and she testified about medical injury causation and provided the jury with her expert opinion that John O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with dog-inflicted wounds, both bites and scratches. I would remind the court at this juncture that there was a dog at the very residence where John O'Keefe was found, a dog which was a longtime member of the family which the family gave away after John O'Keefe's death. A dog which mysteriously was absent from the home at 6:30 in the morning on January 29th, when Jennifer McCabe claimed that she burst into Brian Albert's bedroom where the dog always slept. A dog which was absent from the home when the Canton police entered the home later that morning. Importantly, Dr. Russell agreed with the Commonwealth's medical examiner, Dr. Shorty, that John O'Keefe suffered no injuries that were consistent with having been in a motor vehicle collision. And again, if there's no collision, there's no case. Dr. Laposata, one of the most experienced and accomplished forensic pathologists you could find anywhere, agreed with Dr. Russell that John O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with an animal attack. And she agreed with both Dr. Russell and the Commonwealth's expert, Dr. Shorty, that John O'Keefe was not hit by a motor vehicle. So the question is, in what type of murder case would a judge ever allow a motion for required finding of not guilty? In a murder case where expert testimony on both sides is that the evidence is inconsistent completely with the Commonwealth's theory of the case, that's exactly what we have here. But it doesn't stop there. Both witnesses from ARCCA drove a stake through the heart of the Commonwealth's case. Dr. Wolfe concluded that the damage to Ms. Reed's Lexus was inconsistent with having come from a collision with John O'Keefe. Unlike Dr. Welcher, who created, we would submit, a meaningless experiment based on no scientific method, Dr. Welcher actually did the proper force analysis and concluded that Ms. Reed's Lexus was not damaged by the body or the arm of John O'Keefe. His testimony was unimpacted by cross-examination, and it's devastating to the Commonwealth's case. Dr. Rentschler further cemented that there was no collision between the Lexus and John O'Keefe. It is simply not possible that the 6,000-pound SUV hit John O'Keefe at 24 miles an hour and caused only superficial wounds to his right arm with no injuries to his legs or lower body. The SUV did not hit him. John O'Keefe was not hit by the SUV. The case is over. But on top of all that scientific evidence, Your Honor, there were 3 additional fact witnesses who testified for the defense who corroborated that the Commonwealth's theory of the case is false. Sergeant Nicholas Barros, a sworn police officer, testified that when he saw Ms. Reed's SUV that day, before it was towed to the Canton Police Sally Port, the taillight was merely cracked. When he was shown photos of what it looked like in the Sally Port after Michael Proctor had access to it, Sergeant Barros confirmed that it was absolutely different. Karina Kolakifis confirmed that there were no problems between Karen and John O'Keefe that night, even remarking on just how sweet he kissed her on the forehead shortly before they left the waterfall. But perhaps more importantly, that kiss happened right in front of Brian Higgins, the same Brian Higgins who had been flirting with Karen Read that month, the same Brian Higgins whom Karen had ghosted for several days before January 28th, the same Brian Higgins who had texted Karen that very night, well, and received no response.
Oh, I'm too slow.
The same Brian Higgins whom Karen had given her back to all night.
Well.
The same Brian Higgins who had to be restrained at the end of the night by Chris Albert on video. The same Brian Albert who is on video, hot, angry. I meant Higgins, yes. Yeah, the same Brian Higgins, who is on video, hot, angry, and gesturing to John O'Keefe to meet him outside shortly before they left the waterfall and shortly before John O'Keefe was killed. And finally, Brian Loughran, plowing Fairview Road at 2:45 in the morning, was attentive, watching everything in front of him, very familiar with the Alberts residence, and had every reason to protect the Albert family. You recall that he did protect the Albert family to a degree that night by choosing not to follow protocol and call the DPW or the police about the Ford Edge parked on the street outside their property during a snow emergency. Brian Loughran confirmed that John O'Keefe was not on the front lawn at the Albert residence at 2:45 a.m. That means that Karen did not hit him. There was no collision. All the experts agree on that, including the Commonwealth expert, and the only eyewitness that morning confirms it. Taking the evidence in the light most favorable to the Commonwealth at this juncture, with their evidence weakened by an airtight defense to these charges, these indictments cannot stand, and we urge this court to enter required findings of not guilty on all 3 indictments.
Then Hanky's back to his normal.
Do you want to listen to Lally do the rebuttal?
That's right, it's lucky. Oh, I forgot. No. Do we? No. Let's listen to a nice sad song that we all cry to and get the crying going. And then I've queued up Mendacity for you, Holly, as our outro song. And then you don't need to go anywhere, chat. You don't need to go anywhere. Just buckle up. Nah, Tony says, nah. Just buckle up and hang on to your hats because we'll portal over to the next stream. And there should be a trailer there, if there is, for you. Yes, that. So here we go. Okay, I'll get my tissues. Cool. Yep, let's go. I won't talk.
I write to you not as a stranger, a voice in the storm, just a mother, one who wakes up every morning hoping it was all a dream, but the silence comes again, and I know what that means. There's no heartbreak deeper than this, loving someone you can't kiss, defending words they'll never say, trying to make sense of a world that took them away. So raise your hand, not in anger, but in something that heals. Hold the truth like a candle, let it burn what's not real. We both lost what we can't replace, but I believe there's still a way to choose open hands over clenched fists today. I see you, Peggy, in your love, in the way you still gather up all the memories, laughter and light to survive another night. John was grace, he was fire, he was quiet strength, walking higher. Let's carry that torch, not just his name, let his peace be what remains. So raise your hand, not in anger, but in something that heals. Hold the truth like a candle, let it burn what's not real. We both lost what we can't replace, but I believe there's still a way to choose open hands over clenched fists today. What would Kristen say with all her flame? Would she cheer the bitterness, the blame, or would she speak unfiltered truth and say this hate won't bring him back to you? Instead of flipping off the sky, try a different kind of cry. Giant mud, your fingers wide, a quiet strength, a sacred sign. I am grounded, I am more than this fight. So raise your hand, not in anger, but in something that heals. Let your grief be your anchor, but your love be what's real. We both lost what we can't replace, but I still believe in grace. Choose open hands over clenched fists today. You deserve peace, Peggy, and peace begins with truth, with love, with open hands. Love, grace.
Well, shit. That's rough. Beautiful. I'll just put the link in the chat if you want to watch it again. So Grace, DreamFeedMedia, Grace lost her son just a couple of years ago to as a victim of crime, and she's a beautiful person. That's fucking rough. Yeah, crying majorly. Oof, oof. All right.
Oh, so before we go, we have our super secret slide.
Oh no, the pressure.
With our buttons.
Buttons.
So,
girl,
pick a button. Try and bring a little fun back before we head off to the next stream.
Yes. Oof. I'm gonna go with the very bottom one.
Bottom, okay.
Bottom.
My name is Rescue Randy. I would first like to let everyone know that I am okay, despite what those arseholes at ARCCA did to me. It's been a rough month or so, but I have completely recovered. Other than that, I lost my entire right arm. It's true that there were no bruises or cuts. That's because that big-ass Lexus took my arm plumb off. Can you believe that that dipshit Hank Brennan thought I'd just have some scratches from taking the brunt of the force from a 6,000-pound Lexus going 24 miles per hour? I may have lost a limb, but at least I proved Karen Read is factually innocent. Hello.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my goodness. Randy is not a dummy.
Randy's
oh my
doing
goodness, I love it. You pick a button. We'll do two. You do one.
Okay.
Or you want to do them all? No, we did last week. We could do them all.
We could do them all. I'll pick number 1 because this was a surprise one that Micah shared.
Nick asks, why is the dummy English? Nick, coming from you, I don't think we should ask that question, sir.
This is from button number 1 that Micah shared with me.
Thank you, Micah.
This is Bill Nye. Bill Nye, the science guy.
Ah, yes.
So I think that's pretty freaking cool. Bill Nye's on our side.
Karen Read. Who was it in chat before? I think it was Catherine W. maybe, who said that John Stamos said free Karen Read at his most recent concert. I think it was.
Pretty amazing. Okay. All right. Do you want to do the other 2?
Yes, we have to now. Come on now.
Okay. You want purple or turquoise?
Let's go purple and then turquoise.
Okay.
So fancy.
Oh, it's a video. See, I don't remember what I did with him.
I'm clapping for you.
Oh.
I wanted to come over and thank everybody. You guys, the crowd's growing, which is awesome. We really appreciate the support. So I'm going to stand with you when our team comes out and cheer with you.
Crying gum. Goodness me.
Anyone involved in the trial?
I'm so emotional. God damn.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. Nick, I'm not sure. I think Alessi does a lot of high-profile stuff, but it's just not televised. He does much more high-flying stuff. I don't know, but it's not someone's life riding on it, right? She tries to help him. Yeah. Okay, lucky last. Yes, 67. Young looking and young in what could be more egregious? What? Oh, the baby.
In the snow.
Brian Albert, Brian Albert is involved in everything here.
In order to survive Karen Read, you got to kind of be in the right mindset.
So you now claim that you got rid of the phone hours before you were ordered to preserve it.
Yes.
Brennan told him, hey, buddy, we need more evidence.
There's no way that the Commonwealth is going to be able to explain that.
Otherwise, I'm going to lose this with flying colors.
This is a complex case, a lot of moving parts. You got to kind of be on your game.
Can you manufacture something? Sure.
I don't know who that one is, that lady with the hair.
Boozy Beauty. That's Boozy Beauty.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Anything you need. What do you need?
Oh, shit.
I need a collision.
They are looking to cut your throat at any opportunity. They are going to fight you. Everything.
Is Andrea not the cutest one ever?
Oh,
I love it.
that you are trying to get, they're going to resist.
Oh, baby Chloe.
That's why the law is steady. That's why it's not captive to whims of people drunk with power who think they're above the law, who think they're above scrutiny. That's why you stand as the guardian of justice and the protector of justice. You've given something very special of yourselves. You've agreed to do that which is the highest calling a citizen can answer. What will you do with this moment? I see the truth, and I will not ever look the other way. Do justice and find her not guilty.
God damn it, I keep crying. Oh, that was my favorite one ever. No, that's all right. Oh, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. I love
That's it, my friend.
Thank you. Go and rest your voice. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank everyone. Big round of applause for our girl, what the fuck, who even dying from the COVID seems to be more of a trooper than me. Ah, baby Karen is so beautiful. So cute. My nose is running from crying. God damn it. Sniff. So thank you so much, chat. That's week 8. Next time we do anything Karen Read other than The Departed. My earbud fell out. Next time, we'll be talking about Karen Read being not guilty on all 3 counts. Keep the faith. I have a song for you, which will hopefully help you keep the faith. Buckle up. Don't go, yes, go and have a lie down. Gargle some honey instead of taillight pieces. Strap in. We're going to watch The Departed on Kick, but we'll start on YouTube. Karen Read's innocent, factually innocent. Thank you, what the fuck. Thank you, mods. Thank you, chat. Thank you for all the beautiful gifted memberships, the coffees, the super chats. I love you all very much. We'll get back to Chatty's Bay. We'll do it at the end of The Departed. Nick, you better come to Kick. God damn it. You're part of the crew, dude. Hell yeah. Celebration stream. Damn straight. Next week we celebrate. Damn straight. So I love you all very much. Don't go anywhere. Chat is Bay, but we're not playing it, Nick. So you'll have to come to the end of the Kick stream to hear Chat is Bay. Enjoy my new one in Mendacity. Mendacity. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone. Mwah. Free Karen Read. ×3, because there was no fucking collision.
Oh, back to smoking ruins, the crater of her life. Free Karen Read. Where is the justice? Karen must be free. Multiplicity of mendacity, oh, a maelstrom of evil. The time